there were a couple of options at the airport, right? I had like 3 hours to kill, and there was Burger King in the airport, and there was a ramen store, and the ramen
you paid
store
like 25 euros for your ramen, right?
Close 20, yeah. And like I was really not in the mood for Burger King after Spain, and I thought, yeah, and I really wanted to, eat something like Asian, and I went there and got the ramen, and it was literally not ramen, it was like pasta like the broth was like a 3 out of 10, and the noodles were like not even ramen. So
I'll cook for you one day to make it better.
Like you're English though.
You know the feeling when you are at the food counter and you've already paid, and then you see how they make the food for you, and like in the middle you're like I kind of want to cancel out now.
I'm sorry, this must have been a mistake. I thought this was like a food restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dude, actually, I have to admit, it took me like I'm 38 years now, and up until I was like 35, I did not understand that in English there's a difference between ramen. There's a difference between pasta and noodles. Like, Kai, do you know the difference between noodles and pasta?
I mean, pasta are noodle, but noodles are not necessarily pasta.
See, that's the German approach to it. Because in German, everything is noodles, right? What Americans call, or I guess a lot of people call pasta, we call noodles. And then what they call noodles, we also call noodles. So we are very simple in that regard. Everything is noodles. To them, it's like, no, I had pasta. And I always thought like, oh, that's like the pretentious thing to be like, oh, let's get some pasta.
Yeah, that's
like, pasta's like super basic here.
Oh, yeah, but it sounds, because in German, when you say pasta, it's like, oh, come on, you borrowed the foreign word for it. Just call it noodles, dude. So that's why like it seems like wannabe fancy.
This is like everyone driving on the wrong side of the road except for English and Australians. Like, you guys are wrong here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, honestly, we are, because we are very simple about this. Because once you understand the difference,
oh man,
you're like, oh yeah, actually, why don't you like call it different words? It's just like German is, everybody's like too lazy. It's just like all noodles. We had it a little bit in Magic too, like for deck names. Like I remember when Canadian Threshold was once called Rock Delver. I think it became Timur Delver. I think once what's it called? Oh gosh, that's it. Canadian Threshold.
Once Cons came out, like everyone called it Timur Delver, and like people didn't like that.
Nobody actually called it Timur Delver.
I mean, Star City Games called it Timur.
Yeah, but that doesn't count, right? That's like your mother calling it Timur Delver because she's like not in the loop.
Okay.
Isn't that how it works? Like, have you with a straight face ever called it, oh, next round we're gonna have Timur Delver on coverage? Like, no way, right?
I just thought the entire time it's like the American way to say it was Timur Delver, and like all the European folks still said Canadian Threshold.
Which is so funny because it was actually developed in Canada, right? But I think like Lamb Fam, and then I always forget the 2 other names.
Yeah.
Anyways, so with that, hello and welcome to Everyday Eternal number 173, your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly legacy podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our brand new Patreon, Joseph Brennan. And if you want to support the running of the show directly, you can support us on patreon.com/everydayeternal. Guys, how's it been? We're going to talk about Impact Returns and our travels there in a short moment. But Wizards actually realized, these guys are recording on a Tuesday. Okay, so let's actually get out the big news on a Monday, which kind of funny. Like we heard about that on the weekend already. It was like, but keep it under wraps. It's like, okay, we try to. It turns out it's already public information on Monday. Eternal Weekend is returning this year. It's going to be held in 3 locations once again. It's going to be in Shizuoka, Japan, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as well as Prague in the Czech Republic, of course. And that's going to be on October 12th, November 21st, and December 6th, starting there for the entire weekend. Hosts are going to be, once again, I think Big Mac Magic might have done it in the past, so as Card Titan, and in Europe, of course, JK Entertainment.
Ooh.
Yeah, interestingly, we're going back to the old location in Prague. It's kind of funny, right? You just, at some point, we have just like fully accepted that Prague is like the capital of Legacy or Eternal Magic, even in Europe. That's just like where everything is held these days.
You mean the capital of cheap big warehouses?
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I think that's also why they have a lot of porn there. Like, I have never been to another city because every time like
That would not be the first thing I think of.
For me by now it is, because I've been to Prague so many times, and we usually go to the same location, right? And this is what I actually wanted to mention. The old location from 2023, we are not going there anymore. We are now going back to the OG location. Actually, it's not the OG location for the real OGs, but it's like the millennial OG location where all the GPs and card markets used
the
to be
last
held.
GP one?
Yeah, exactly. Where there was like the huge fire and everything. I guess you guys remember, right?
I don't remember a fire, but I remember the last GP.
There wasn't a fire at the Legacy GP, but there was a fire at a GP, and like they had to relocate the entire tournament during the tournament to a different location.
Oh, really?
Oh shit, I forgot about that event.
Anyway, so every time I was going out there in a taxi, and on the occasions that I actually had a conversation with my taxi driver, it was always come to, "Oh, are you here for porn?" I'm like, "No, I'm not actually." And apparently there's like lots of porn production studios there, and the guy even showed me a Polaroid of a porn star he drove there, and he was so excited. And it turns out I'm not worthy of a Polaroid. I'm just a mere Magic player. But yeah, this is apparently the location where all of Europe's porn production happens. So yeah, shout outs to Wizards. Actually, probably JK Entertainment for picking that. And at least this time we have like half a year almost in advance that we know about it.
Yeah, this is nice. What was the time frame last time? Do you remember? 'Cause it was like
I think
a
month or so.
Yeah, or like a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, by the way,
crazy.
this weekend, in case you didn't know.
So this is really good. Like it could even be earlier. Like a lot of people probably want 6 months because of their jobs or families and stuff. But this is good. This is a huge improvement. And so yeah.
It's also kind of interesting how spread out it is this time, because in Japan it's already happening on October 12th and 13th, whereas then we wait over a month for the next one in the US, and then we wait like 2 weeks for the European one.
This is great as well because it was like every weekend for 3 weeks before, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah,
Right.
Some people were like going crazy and like chaining all three of them.
So this allows people to do all three a bit easier, I think.
No, I guess it
probably the
depends, like,
intention.
Yeah.
I guess for the people doing all three of them, like all, I don't know, 5 of those people who want to do it, it's probably actually easier if the Japan one and the Europe one are back to back, because they're already on the road anyway. But yeah, it's
I guess so.
Yeah, but
Overall-
I think it leaves a lot of like creative breathing room, right? Like you know, you gotta look at what does well in Shizuoka first in October, and then you have like a whole month to like adapt to that meta game or to those results maybe. I like remember like last year when like it was a couple players who went to all 3 events. They just had the same 75 for all 3 of them, right? But what if something changes in between, or maybe there's like a certain trend? I kind of like being flexible here. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, from my side,
I agree.
I really don't have any kind of positive or negative thoughts on it being spread out. The one thing I'm missing is when we had the tournaments basically back to back, it was kind of cool how the same metagame across 3 entirely different locations would present itself, right? So it really emphasized the difference between Japanese Magic, European Magic, and North American Magic. Now that it's spread out a little bit more, it's less comparable, but I like it the way it is, even though well, actually, there's no even though. I just love that this is happening.
Yeah, same. I'm excited for it now.
So, by the way, there's another change that I noticed earlier today. Wizards already introduced these special cards, right? I think was it Ponder and Dragon Rage Channeler last year for people who plays top 8? Those super rare cards, of which only I think 24 copies existed in the wild. And this time we're actually giving those out to the top 32, which would be so cool. Like that gives you a real incentive. Like even once you're like X and 2, you can still make it to top 32. I just love that. I absolutely love that. And it's gonna be actually, I think in Europe it's gonna be Crop Rotation by Samuele Bandini, and in the I'm completely wrong about this. It's generally Crop Rotation for Legacy, and it's Tinker by Jason Rainwell for Vintage.
Yeah, so I think they all have the same one, like they did last year as well. But I also love this top 32 change. It's fantastic. Like, I mean, coming top 32 is a great achievement in a event as big as this. So, you know, reward it. It'll bring the price of these cards down as well. Like, you know, it's super pimped to have a Ponder and stuff from last year. And I think I've seen one person has 4 Ponders, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know, like this allows a few more people to like actually get them and probably play them and stuff, because the cards from last year are so expensive, then they'll be played. And I think, well, they will sometimes. It is a really cool flex, but I think these will have a few of these land crazy people have like this play set and stuff. It's cool. Whether they get the foil ones, that's another thing to be done. But yeah, love this change. Don't like the other change.
The other change, the other change being, by the way, we're going to get that in a moment. One thing I want to add, by the wording of it, it says, additionally, the top 8 finishers at each Vintage or Legacy Championship in 2024 get a foil copy of the prize promo as well. So the way I read it is, if you make top 8, you get the non-foil and the foil version.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I assumed it would be just the foil, but
I figured so too, because maybe they phrased it in a weird way, but the way it's stuck there, it sounds like you get 2. But honestly, like if you get top 8, you have less things to worry about than whether you also get the non-foil version. Even though I've seen some estimates, they said the non-foil version might go for something between 500 to 700 euros, which would be insane, right? That there are legacy tournaments you win less than that amount of money.
It'll be interesting to see because there's so much more coming on the market, so it could be less.
But when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, there are only like 100 copies of those being around, basically a really desirable card limited to just 100 copies that's played across formats. That's just like a big deal.
It is. It'll still be quite a lot. And I've got to say, I love this crop rotation artwork.
Yeah, it's great, right?
Yeah, really fantastic.
Yeah. Tinker One also, I don't hate it. Like
Tinker One,
yeah,
I quite like it. I think it's really cool. It's very like artifacty and stuff. I just love the original Tinker so much. I'll never like any other really. I think. But
I was gonna say like it's from Monsters Legacy. I mean, so is crop rotation is also from Monsters Legacy, right? I'd still probably play the OG ones just because I'm so much about the OG artwork and everything. But they look really good.
Yeah.
I also want to say very quickly, I love that this is like a non-blue card as well because we've got like lightning bolts and DLCs and ponders and stuff. Like Delver, you've had your fun. I love that this is a non-blue shell card as well.
Yeah. Kai, are you going to be there this year again? I mean, it's probably like too early to tell, but...
Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel like playing, or is it going to be a booth again?
Either one. I'll be there 100%. Let's see. I'm already talked to a couple of people. I might be there with my booth, but I'll be also really happy to be there as a player.
Maybe you're just going to hire somebody like to impersonate you at the booth. Like I do sometimes when you have to go to the bathroom at these events.
Make like
I sit down and I try to do my best Kaiser Vatari impression. And you can actually tell people walk over and they look at me like, something's different.
No, that's totally reasonable. Yeah.
Thought Kai had hair.
But dude, I absolutely also like that they kind of went through the whole the color cycle. Maybe like we had a red card already, we had a blue card. This is a green one. So I don't know. Like it might not be crazy to assume that there is like maybe like a white card, maybe like a Swords to Plowshares, maybe upcoming, or like something black, maybe. To have like a complete nice circle. Certainly.
Dude, if I was working for Wizards, I'd totally troll the hell out of people. And this year you can win a foil old frame version of everybody's favorite card, Grief. We analyzed the metagame and we realized that like 40% of decks are playing Grief, so we figured it must be really popular.
Okay, I mean, if they do that, they better be like ephemerate for the white one then. Yeah.
And that would be something.
That's a good point. No, I didn't think of that. I just saw like DLC as a blue card, not a red card, but I guess...
See, like this could be like completely coincidence, right? Because they haven't done it for Vintage. It's always been like blue. Like they got like Misstep and Probe and stuff. But
it's kind of hard to make a non-blue card for Vintage that's like widely applicable.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
They're going to make like
Sphere of Resistance or something.
Yeah. But by the way, Callum, you already alluded to it, right? There's another change for the verse, and that is we're discontinuing one of the coolest traditions that we have had in Eternal Magic since basically Eternal Weekend became a thing. There will be no more paintings being given out to the first place players.
Such a bummer. Like, it's so iconic and such a big part of this, and it's so old, and it's just like what Eternal Weekend is kind of about in a way. So I don't understand the drop in it. Like, being very cynical, I think it's probably because they have to get a real artist to draw it, and they could just get AI to draw this, maybe. I don't know.
Dude, that would be a slap in the face.
Actually, you know what? I have no idea. That's just complete conjecture. So I'm going to take...
Was that looked like at the cost of having the painting commission this year, and they were like...
Oh my God.
No, okay. I don't know the artist at all, actually, I'll be honest. So I take it back, so nothing's based on... But I don't know. I think it could be something to do with like saving money, probably.
Because otherwise, like 3 days before the event, they do an announcement of actually, you know what, guys? Here you have it, a new painting. You know, they just pooped it out in like 10 seconds.
Honestly, Kyle, what about you doing one of those paintings?
Oh, I could do that, maybe.
But do you think like it can't cost that much for something that's such a big part of the prize and loved by the players?
No, they probably just ran out of paint, right?
So, yeah, that's actually the most reasonable explanation. I've heard about that too. Like in the US, they don't really have paint anymore.
No,
And
it's
all
really
European artists, they
hard to come by.
refused to work with the Wizards because they don't I don't know,
man.
appreciate their paint embargo or something.
Yeah.
No,
Hey,
seriously, Kai, you should just make 2 paintings. Or actually, in that case, you would need 6 paintings and give them out as a promotion for Savatarix, right?
We gotta do our own, eternal weekend. That's
Honestly,
cool.
which card would you love to paint? I think you've already talked about how you would love to paint Doomsday, and you've done that in the past.
Oh, absolutely.
Which other card would you love to paint
I mean,
that would be applicable for this?
Probably Dark Ritual. It's like probably
What's your
Dark Ritual
favorite?
is like the reason for me to play Legacy. I think in the first place, which is not the most common maybe way how people see Legacy, but yeah, Dark Ritual, baby.
Okay, heard it here first. Winner of the Eternal, I guess it would be a vintage card, right? Dark Ritual isn't that much of a thing in Legacy anymore.
Yeah, we didn't see that last weekend in Spain at all.
Yeah, you were talking between rounds that you would love to see a Storm deck.
Yeah.
And almost at this point. Oh, okay, this is. I guess that's our segue into Impact Returns that we're going to talk about right next. I came to the conclusion that Ad Nauseam is not a Legacy card anymore.
Oh yeah, that was like one of the boldest statements. Yeah.
Is that really a
don't know
bold
how you
statement, or
said
are you
that.
just giving me shit?
No, I just think that Ad Nauseam is a really powerful card. It's just that
It hasn't been played for a year and a half, 2 years, I think.
Yeah, Besiege the Queen is basically what kinda made the new decks that were trying to do something Storm-esque, but also in a different way. Almost more in a Stompy way.
Yeah, I haven't played
Besiege
a
the
lot of
Mirror
Storm
is
recently,
just really
but it seemed like when you cast Ad Nauseam and you flip a lot of those Besiege the Queens, it's probably not exactly what you want to be doing.
Just you guys are saying Beseech the Queen, which is the bad Shadow Maw card.
Oh shit! I mean that
It's
too.
Beseech the Mirror, but
That would
I know
actually
what you're
even be
saying.
better maybe because it doesn't hurt as much.
I wonder how often judges had to give out game losses because people wrote down Besiege the Queen. They would be like, another one. Oh,
Yeah.
got
Actually,
another
Kai,
one.
Beseech the Queen is 6 mana, so it hurts even more.
Oh, does it?
You know what would be hilarious? If people actually if people wrote an entire deck list that looks like Storm and then they put down Besiege the Queen, and judges would be like, okay, come on, here's the deck check, and then they go through and it's actually 4 copies of Besiege the Queen.
Hey,
Okay.
it is a tutor of Dark Ritual.
Yeah, you can use it. Got me on that one. So yeah, moving on. Actually, we were at, not only is there a big Legacy event coming up, we actually went to one of the biggest Legacy events of the year in beautiful Narón in Galicia, near A Coruña in Spain, northwestern Spain. And there was Impact Returns. We had already been there last year. This time Callum was around as well. And dudes, I don't know where to start. The first thing I want to say, I'm so excited to see that they grew by 30%. We already we were hyping it up a lot last year when they hit 170 people for the Legacy main event. This year they hit 220. So 50 more people showed up for this event, and I can only see it growing from here.
I think so. This is one of the most fun events I've played in ever, really. Just as a whole weekend, it was so fun. It was just, everyone was friendly. Every match I played was nice. I was incredibly impressed by the judge staff. They were all very friendly and helpful when I asked them, but they were constantly going around and watching games, and especially the top 8s, they were sitting there watching the things to make sure everything was going smoothly. They were running back and forth with the results and everything. And then, I don't know, the organizers, David and Inigo, they just worked like absolute animals, to get it run well. Watching the stream and how much work went in to get it running and stuff to such a high quality I'd never seen it all the background, but they were in the open doing it. Super impressive. And everyone was just so friendly, and there was such a chill atmosphere at the event as well. In every single event I played, every opponent I played in different places, everyone was just there having a good time, which I know is such a happy cliche thing to say, but it was true. There was no kind of animosity anywhere and saltiness, whatever. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, you're actually the only one of us to play in the main event, right? Because Kai and I were doing commentary on the Spanish Legacy Nationals on Friday, and then the Legacy main event on Saturday. I think we did commentary for a combined 20 rounds of Legacy, which almost
you guys are machines as well.
Yeah, that feels like my upper limit. I couldn't really do that many anymore.
Yeah,
it was kind of rough, right? But Kai, actually now let's start with you, Callum. What was your travel experience like? Because people have always asked about how do I get there? What's it like? And you and Jamie, your friend from the UK, were there for the first time this time. So what was it like to get there?
So yeah, part of the one of the very few downsides of the event is it is quite hard to get to, but it's in a beautiful part of the world. So if you can get there, it's just worth going for 100%. But we are very lucky. There's direct flights from London to A Coruña, so we just got to go there. And then we got a bus for 10 minutes from the station to the A Coruña bus station. And then there was about an hour's bus to go there to Narón, and it was really easy. Cost like €7.50 for both the buses each way. And yeah, it was a breeze, actually. Really, really easy. So if you can get to A Coruña Airport, it's very easy to get to the event site.
Yeah, and A Coruña Airport is more like a tiny little, I don't know. It's the tiniest airport I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
at least in Europe.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, very, very easy. So if people look into it for next time, I know A Coruña looks like kind of further away. It's a good hour drive or something, maybe a little bit less. But there is easy bus routes.
Yeah. Like I feel like it's almost cheating for you guys because actually A Coruña Airport, like there are only flights from Madrid and Barcelona, and then like once or twice per day there's like this random flight from London only, which is the only foreign country. Yeah. So
it's kind of funny. Kai told me as we were waiting for our flight back, and we saw that for the next 4 hours there are not going to be any flights, except for in 4 hours there's going to be one to London. So there's just like nothing happening. And we looked at this, and there were 12 check-in counters. And as we queue up, Kai actually comes over to me. He's like, Julian, do you think those 12 counters have ever been opened at the same time? Like, probably not. Like when they opened the airport or something. But yeah, that's like the one downside. Like I had to fly to Madrid, catch my connection flight to A Coruña. That was easy. I guess Kai, I had to wait for my connection flight, and I think Kai arriving from Berlin was supposed to be on the same flight, but then it was boarding and he still wasn't there. And I sent him a WhatsApp and asked him, Kai, which flight to Coruña are you on? Because I figured he's actually going to arrive after me. He was like, no, dude, we're on the same flight. We just landed, but they don't let me out of the machine. Like, dude, like boarding just started. You better get here because you have to run all the way across Madrid airport.
Yeah, when you're in Spain, you have to show a lot of patience too, because like none of the things work as they're planned. Like, I think most flights have a little bit of a delay, like sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes even half an hour. They have a lot of trouble getting your luggage also to the final destination. I just made the pro move of putting like all the stuff I actually need in my hand luggage, so like the suitcase can arrive after. But I guess like most people who would go to future Impact Returns event probably only have hand luggage, so that's a good part.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I told the flight attendant at the gate, okay, so this is my friend Kai. He's gonna come because he's a little bit delayed. And you told me like when they were about to close the gate, she was actually rushing towards you.
Oh yeah,
and was like, okay, dude, quickly, get on the flight.
Oh yeah, she had her arms open. It's like, dude.
And you embraced her or something. It's like, no, good dude, something else. But yeah, then we arrived there. This time we had our own Airbnb together with Callum and Jamie in Ferrol, I guess. Ferrol and Narón, those are like sister towns. You wouldn't really notice walking. I think on the last night we actually walked from one into the other. It's just like one quote unquote giant city. And you know what I love the most about that place? Like the place was super comfortable. What I love the most is we open the windows at night, and in the morning you get woken up by the beautiful screams of seagulls outside. I don't know why I love that so much, because like in Munich you never ever get that, and it felt like so relaxed.
Oh yeah,
like I almost didn't want to go to a tournament, just sit there and listen to them.
Oh yeah, like we always woke up before the actual alarm after like a 3-hour sleep. Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
It was really intense, but like that's for most Magic players, right? Like you play hard, you party hard, you rest very little.
Yeah,
that is the wonderful thing about Spain is they eat and go to sleep very late.
Oh yeah,
especially it's so weird, right? Because now we were in the very west of Spain, which amplifies the effect even more. So I think one time after the event, we were sitting at the restaurant across the street, and I look outside, and it's like almost bright as day, like not super bright, but almost bright as day. And I look at my watch, and it's like 10 in the night. I'm like, the fuck? Like, I couldn't get used to this. I like this a lot. But yeah, the other side of the thing was we rarely got more than like 3 hours of sleep, and I dearly paid for it yesterday. I arrived home at like 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and I slept all the way until 2 p.m. the next day. Basically, I got into bed yesterday at like 7 p.m. and I woke up today at 2 in the afternoon, which is like, I need a lot of sleep to make up for, especially the last night. That's actually one of the, we have the 4th thesis for Eternal Magic, and I almost put a 5th thesis, which is like 4-player cube draft is the worst thing ever invented. Like, I don't know how people do it, but cube draft is great. 4-player Magic is horrible. And then
so
like we put the two together.
The last night, on the last night at about 3 a.m.
Yeah, you need
with
a little
wine,
bit of context,
wine and
right?
pizza in our hands.
Yeah,
we
after Domino Pizza and like some random wine bottles from like a restaurant that was about to close. Yeah. It's like a lot more context to it, I think. Well,
Have you walked home for like, I want to say like 2 hours? Is
it was
that
an
a
hour
little bit-
at the most.
yeah, I felt like it, yeah.
Okay, it felt like 2 hours to me
Okay.
because we had the most horrible storytellers because we like start with the end of the story and then we keep going back and back and back. So after the event was over and we decided to maybe have some food and some pizza and something, we first wanted to use the bus to get home. Then we realized, the bus was actually on strike. Then Kai walked into a restaurant, ordered a taxi. The taxi didn't come. Then he walked back, had them order another taxi. The taxi didn't come. And then like after half an hour, he walked back and they were like, oh no, there's no taxi. I still don't understand what actually happened there.
Yeah, I do.
Is
I
that
don't
the
know.
story?
So basically instead of like, I called the taxi twice, it was basically I tried to call the taxi twice and they just
Tiny
didn't
little
answer.
difference.
In Spanish, right? So
the guy was like, see.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Yeah, okay, so we ended up walking home and as we were about to go home, we quickly hit a restaurant because I really needed some sparkling water. I think I bought, so this is actually embarrassing, I bought 5 small bottles of sparkling water for 18 euros or so. Actually, I gave them a lot of tip. Okay, never mind. Okay, now it makes sense because I gave them an insane tip because they're allowed to actually take us away the bottled water. And Kai bought like 2 bottles of wine and then we were there at like 3 in the morning and we had to get up at like 7 or 8 to catch our flights. And then Jamie pulled out his Legends combo cube and you
It's
guys
a
said...
commander cube.
It's a commander cube,
yeah.
you call it. Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys said, we're just going to do a quick draft and then play 2 rounds. And that's it. I thought you guys were joking, but all of a sudden we were actually doing the entire thing to the end. And holy shit, that was the
The
very...
highlight was us saying, Julian, do you understand color identity? And you were like, of course, I'm not stupid. And then spending 10 minutes explaining to you during deck building what it was.
No, the problem was that I didn't care about my commanders at all. I didn't want any.
I know.
I just wanted a commander that covered all of my green cards. And then one of the green cards actually had a backside that was black. And I was too tired to actually like pull it out because I figured it would be green as well. And you guys kept telling me I need a black commander. I was like, I have no black cards. Like, that stupid dinosaur, whatever it is on the backside. It's black, okay. Yeah.
So you had a great time. Kai had a really good time.
Oh, we had some insane decks. I think like you had like the Splinter Twin, Grixis Control deck. I had like like Crom is one of my commanders, for example, and
But I drew a lot of cards with Sylvan Library.
It's true.
So, yeah,
And then
sure you
died.
did. Sure you did. Yeah, I think the best card in the game was probably Sheoldred because she did like the most things.
I
Right?
thought it was going to be really bad. Shieldred was my side. I just played it, but it actually did
yeah.
so much damage.
But seriously, like as a regular commander player, I think the games went
Horrible,
relatively fast. I think,
Mm-hmm.
and still like the balance between cards like stable cards and cards you have to read was also somewhat 50-50, I think. So that's a good ratio, I think. Like whenever you turn up especially at a casual table in Commander, like you have to read every single card but Soul Ring. So it can be a nightmare, but like fortunately,
that was the problem I had. Like I didn't want to read any of the cards at like 3 in the morning, and you guys kept telling me this is a good card, this is a bad card. Like
that was
I
lazy.
just picked
That
whatever
was a
I
lazy
knew.
draft, yeah.
Yeah, that was my draft strategy. Pick all the green cards I know. And it kind of worked out. Like Kai lost as the first guy in the second round we played. So look at me. I'm
the wins.
Yeah, exactly right. But guys, going back to everything we did. So Callum, why don't we start with you? You played Painter in the main event, right? Is there
Yep, I did.
any kind of spicy tech you got in there, or was it like a stand-up mono red list?
Not really. It was very standard. I was playing messy around. So I actually just had like a huge surge of enthusiasm for playing and everything the last like month-ish leading up to this. I played so many leagues and I tried so many different things. I was trying some lists like even with main deck Blood Moons and like no or less sagas. I was trying all these different versions. I played Cauldron things with Devour a lot, which is I didn't play it, and at the same time, Cauldron versions with Devour is actually putting up the most results comparatively, but it just doesn't click with me. My thing is I don't like playing anything that that's weak to Meltdown or Null Rod or Collector Roof or Wrath of the Skies after sideboarding, and it's just a lot of slots that like lead yourself into those cards. So I played like a very, very basic heavy, I think it was 10 or 11 basic mountains and 8 blasts in the 75 and 4 bolts in the 75. So it was just like, I'm a red control deck that has the combo. I think the most spicy thing is like 1 Unlicensed Hearse in the main, which is obviously a nod towards Scam, and 3 Vexing Baubles. Otherwise, it's just exactly what you expect. So, yeah.
How
So
did
my
it go
event
for you?
So it started pretty badly. Round one, I queue into. I'm sorry, didn't actually prepare this, so I don't remember anyone's names. But round one, I pair into Painter. He's on the play and he goes Plateau, Soul Guide Lantern. I'm like, there's only one thing this can be, really. It could be like an initiative deck with sagas, but I thought, okay, it's a mirror. So I go Mountain, well done. He smiles. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a thing. He was absolutely lovely, and we were like kind of, when you both just understand what's going on. So he played it pretty tightly as well, and so we were just kind of like making jokes as we played. He got me 2-1. It was very close. So game one, he had a main deck Needle, which destroyed my plan of having 3 welders in play. Game two, it was like a very long grind. Both were very long grindy. And game three, I think I mulled to 3, and I had a hand of like Ancient Tomb, 2 sagas, a Painter, and an Apostle's Blessing. So I was like, okay, this is insane if he just doesn't draw a Grindstone himself. So I go turn 1 Saga, turn 2 Painter, which is it's usually very, very bad to play out Painter in the mirror unless you have the combo wrapped up. But I have an Apostle's Blessing to counter a Lightning Bolt. I didn't name Blue with the Painter in case he has a Blast. I felt safe as long as he just doesn't have a Grindstone, but he did, so fair play. So he plays Grindstone, activates it, and I die.
But gotta give you props for trying it, right? Because there's usually only 2 copies of Grindstone in the deck, and looked like a pretty good spot for you.
Exactly. I would make that play every single time, and you just play the cards you have in your hand.
But then you surely went on to win the second round, right?
Surely. So I pair into another guy who I asked him how his round one went, and he said, "Oh, terrible. I'll tell you about it afterwards." So, okay, fair enough. This is where like my judgment of like player character came in. I looked at him. He was kind of very well presented and stuff. He spoke nicely, spoke perfect English. And for some reason, I just thought he seems like a best deck player. So I just kind of thought he might be scam. So
what does it tell you about the people who like don't play the best deck?
I don't know. It was just my judgment of character there.
Like all messed up, dirty hair. Oh yeah, you're a New Jersey player, clearly.
I ain't saying shit. But anyway, so I put him on scam just roughly, and I had a very good hand. It was very grindy. It was like turn 1 Bauble with 2 Fables and Ancient Tomb and stuff. I was really happy with it. And then he ums and ahs over his hand for ages, and then he's on the play, and he goes turn 1 City of Traitors, Grim Monolith, Key, 1 Ring. I'm like, okay, shit, I'm dead. So it was this new Forge deck, which you guys commentated a lot in the Spanish Nationals.
And I never want to commentate on it again. It's a horrible deck to do commentary on, by the way.
This deck is starting to pick up, so it's the Glaring Flesh Rakers, like a big addition to it. But I think the deck was good before it, and it's just now really good with this thing. I thought for a while, we were talking about it the day before, and I was saying this deck is very strong, it's underrated, underplayed and stuff. And yeah, here we go. I cut Mindbreak Traps from my sideboard, and there's just nothing in my deck that's good against it. So I'd say it's probably the deck Painter's worst matchup currently. And if the deck picks up, I'm actually going to play 3 Nullrods in the Painter sideboard because I think it's the best thing to do with it. Yeah. But anyway, he absolutely crushed me in like 10 minutes. So it was a pretty disappointing start. Like starting 0-2, round 1 was really fun to play and very close, so I can't feel bad about it. Round 2, there was nothing I could do, and he even apologized at the end. I was like, no, I chose this deck to play, so it's okay. So I was kind of considering like dropping, but I thought I've come to play Legacy. I'm going to play some Legacy. So I'm actually just going to pull up the rest of my rounds because I have them somewhere. Okay, so after the disappointing 0-2 start, and I figured let's play some Legacy. So round 3, I'm at like the second bottom table, feeling a bit down, obviously.
Yeah.
But hey, as I said, we're going to go through it, and I play against 8cast. So 8cast is historically one of the best Painter matches, I think. It's not just because Blast and stuff like Chalice can get you sometimes, and their sagas are pretty scary with Minute Needle, but very often you can just goldfish your combo against them. Like if you play a saga before they play a saga, your Grindstone comes out before their Needle comes out. They just have to force will the Painter. They have 1 or 2 Otawara to deal with it, but it was pretty good. So it was quite elementary. I think game 1, I got a combo online like turn 4, turn 5. And game 2, I just went turn 1 Saga, turn 2 Painter, and their hand was just all creatures and pressure. So I had like 2 or 3 blasts in my hand I could have cast, but I ignored everything and just, it was fine. So it was a really, really easy, nice third round. My deck just cooperated. Round 4 was against lands. This showed the power of Vexing Bauble. I was on the play for the first match of the first 4, and I played.
You told me about that. You told me about that one. Okay, hit us.
Yeah, so I just went Mountain Vexing Bauble, and my opponent like made a face and then went to discard, and they discarded a Riftstone Portal at the end of their turn. So I think it's lands, and like they took a while on the mulligan. So I'm like, maybe it's just like a very slow hand, and they just need the thing. So over the next few turns, they played Tabernacle, Maze of Ith, and something else, like no mana producing lands. So maybe they actually just kept a thing without Mox Diamond. But in reality, I think they had like 2 Mox Diamonds in their hand. So the board will just absolutely destroy their opening. So it was still a very long, grindy game. Like they got Wasteland and Crucible online, but I just about got the combo out. I made a big punt to not to be able to counter the Crucible because I tapped out a red in 1 turn and got double Wastelanded with a Painter and Blast in my hand, but no justice. And then after sideboarding, it's a matchup I really like because I've played it so much. And after sideboarding, I get to bring in like Maguses and loads of things to protect them and stuff. So they had Sphere of Resistance and Richard Port and a Wasteland going, but I just drew loads of basic lands, and so I just went Lango, and then got Magus down with Apostle's Blessing protection, and they just didn't present Marital Age, so it was okay. And afterwards he said, God, this is the first time I've lost a Painter in it longer than I can remember. I always win this matchup. And I said, well, I always win this matchup. That. So it's
yeah, it's the classic of like, oh dude, I never lose to this. Yeah, because you only played against it like 4 times in your life or something.
But it wasn't in an assaulted way, it was like an interested way. He said I played way more patiently.
It's not rare that people genuinely believe that they are greatly favored in a certain matchup. It's just like, that's what I think. Yeah,
absolutely.
Usually it should make you think twice once you play it a little bit more often. Like, for example, I often feel like everybody says that 8-cast is one of the greatest matchup for Painters, and I lose it more than I win it. So I'm probably also misplaying it. But I get, as you mentioned, constantly wrecked by their Sagas. It's basically Saga plus Shadow Spear, which always destroys me. And also like the inability to remove Chalice. So I go into the matchup feeling like, yeah, I can hang, but I almost like I'd rather not play against it. But I'm one of the few Painter players that says that.
You definitely can lose it. It's not like hugely favored, but yeah, you win it more than not, I think. So anyway,
so you were 2-2 at that point, right?
2-2 now. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm having fun. I was playing tight. Even the first 2 rounds, I think I played tight, and I didn't make mistakes in the other matchups and stuff. So I was feeling good. I was enjoying it still. Round 5 was against Grixis Delver. So this is where like this deck build is so good against Delver, and not just because Delver's good, but it's to beat Scam and Eldrazi. So against Scam, I wanted 8 blasts to kill frogs, and against Eldrazi, I wanted 4 blasts to kill their creatures. So here against Delver, you present a deck that has 8 blasts, 4 bolts, and 2 furies, which is just so much removal. So I feel really good with this one. My plan has always been to just like trim down on artifacts that get swept up in Meltdown, because you're almost always getting melted down against Delver because the games go long, especially playing this grindy thing. So I cut 1 Bauble, 1 Grindstone, and 2 Painters, and just played Control, and they just I think I got Meltdowned twice, but I've played around that card so much now that I think they killed like a treasure and a construct each time. You just make it really bad. So that was pretty easy, like very long game still. Game 1 had a funny moment where they'd played 3 Wastelands and 3 Dazes, and I was kind of empty-handed and they were empty-handed. They'd drawn 1 card, and I'd drawn a Fable and I had 3 lands in play. And I looked at their graveyard, counted the Dazes, 3 Dazes, and I'm like, I'm jamming it.
There's no way.
And you know what they drew. So they drew the 4th Daze, and so we had a good laugh over that, which was fun. But I think I drew out of it better, so it was okay. Yeah, so pretty good there. Next round, so 3-2 now. Next round was against Eldrazi. I think I really punted game 1. It was something like...
Oh, it's not even possible. You, of all the people.
I know. I can't remember the exact mistake now, but I definitely made a couple of mistakes that I got annoyed about. And it was the first mistakes that I really noticed as soon as I'd made them before I got punished for it. And then I got rightly punished. But then game 2 and game 3, Painter, I think, is the best deck against Eldrazi, which is nice.
Oh, actually, Painter... should we quickly mention that? Oh, yeah, you were about to say, right?
Yeah, so for those that don't know why, Painter is like a secret hoser for a lot of their lands, because Eldrazi Temple and Eye of Ugin say you can add 2 mana or you can discount 2 mana for colorless creature spells. Painter makes everything a color, so the Temple now taps for 1 mana, and the Eldrazi and the Eye of Ugin does nothing with a Painter in play, which is really nice.
Didn't know that. That's crazy tech.
I've seen some elves deck play 2 Painters in a sideboard.
Yeah,
and I think like, why would you ever do that? It's just like, oh yeah, no, okay, no, it makes sense.
This was like some tech during Eldrazi Winter when the first ones came out. Like Zoo would play 4 Painters in the sideboard to deal with it and stuff. Pretty funny. And it stops Eye of Ugin searching as well because it says colorless thing. So we've got this really sick package of kind of hate and stuff. So yeah, it was like game 1 they went Temple Go, and then I could have gone Mountain Go to set, and I had Ancient Tomb and Painter in hand with blasts, but I just jammed the Painter so they couldn't use the Temple straight away. Then they went second land, Petal, Wastegate, Battle Mage. What I really should have done is just wait, play a Ancient Tomb with Painter and then like blast one of their lands, so they struggle to play it.
Battle Mage is the one that does disenchant or bounce, right?
Exactly. It's a 2 mana 2/2 with like kicker 1 green, and if you kicker that, you exile artifacts or enchantment, or 1 and a blue, you bounce a creature. That card is a big reason why I'm playing Apostle's Blessing in the sideboard, because you can't Pyroblast the cast triggers, but you can Apostle's Blessing. Because even though Wastegate Battle Mage is colorless, with a Painter in play, it becomes the color you name, so you can counter the triggered abilities when you cast it. But so yeah, I won game 2, which was like longer and grindy, but I think some sideboard cards did well, and like Fury was good and stuff. And then game 3, I mulliganed down to 5, and like I made some good mulligans. I think my 7 was like lands and spells, but it was just engineers and fables and basic mountains, no fast mana. So I was like, on the draw, this is just way too fair. My 6 was a turn 3 combo, but with like a Great Furnace and an Ancient Tomb as the lands, Great Furnace and a Saga as the lands, and just too weak to like Kozzet's Command and removal and the Battle Mage. Then I mulled to 5, which was exactly what I wanted. It was a turn 1 Magus with an Apostle's Blessing in my hand. So they played a turn 1 Battle Mage, which was just a 2/2. I slammed a turn 1 Magus, and then they tried to play a Glaring Freshraker, but I told them they couldn't. And the next turn they tried to play another Eldrazi with colorless, and they lost.
I
told them
like,
they couldn't.
Well, actually, I would no. I'm not allowing that. You cannot do that today. And the opponent was like, okay, I'll accept it if Callum says so.
So if anyone that's not sure why, basically Magus turns everything into mountains, and basically every creature in their deck needs colorless to cast the Eldrazi. So you can't cast them with Magus in play, and I had this Blessing in my hand. I didn't have the extra mana up on turn 1, but I thought as soon as I untap, I've won the game. And they didn't have a Dismember on their turn 2, so I just won because I eventually drew more lands.
I would have been so tempted to keep that. What was it, like a turn 2, a turn 3 kill on the 6?
It was a turn 3 kill on the 6.
I mean, on the draw, I get why you wouldn't want it. It's just like I would have been so insanely tempted to.
I took a minute thinking about it, but it dies to a Wastegate Battle Mage, it dies to a Wasteland, it dies to a Null Rod, Kozzet's Command, exiling the creature or cards from the graveyard. It just dies to like half the deck. It's slow, it doesn't interact, it had no Bolt or Fury. I think it was a good mulligan. I could see like the temptation, but yeah, we got the Magus. I think Magus is just like the one hit kill if you can keep it, so it was good enough.
So at that point you were like 4-2?
4-2. We're clawing back. I was like messaging like London friends, and I was like clawing back every single time. Next round was against Scam. This is what everyone's prepared for and stuff. So I was kind of happy to see it, just to see if I can do it, because like at that point I know I'm well out of top 8 contention and probably top 16 contention, but I'm just playing to have fun and learn the matchups and get better and stuff. So I got very lucky in game 1. I think they were on the play, and they went like just fetch go. And I played a Saga go, and then they end of turn. I was on the play. I played a Saga turn 1, and they played a fetch. I played like a Goblin turn 2 or something, and they ended turn Entombed and got the Archon. I played a turn 2 Painter. That was it. They got the Archon, and I was like, just get the Archon in play, and I'm going to concede because my hand can't beat it at all. And then they play the Surveil land, the tap Surveil land, and they have to pass the turn. So they had the Animate Dead in hand, but just didn't draw the untapped land, and that meant my Saga went off, and I got a Soul Guide Lantern to exile the Archon, and it was okay.
Wait,
two turns later,
you played turn 2 Painter and still only got Soul Guide Lantern on the 3rd turn instead of.
They pushed it. They had a main deck push.
Okay. I was like, why would you? Okay, yeah.
No, you're right. Sense. I forgot about that detail. So I couldn't combo. So what they should have done actually is wait until they pushed on their turn to play around Pyroblast, which I get. But if they don't push it on their turn and let me untap, I'd probably go for the Grindstone, because they usually don't play push. And then they push it in response, and then I don't have the Soul Guide, and then they just get the Archon back. And I think they win if they do it on my turn. But again, I totally get playing around Pyroblast there. Game 2, I have a hand that has turn 1 Hearse with Blast backup. So I play a turn 1 Hearse, they force it, I get to Monkey Blast the Force, and then they just do nothing. I think I played a Vexing Bauble the next turn, and the game just went along. They had 7 cards in their hand the whole game, but it was just all Trolls, Reanimates, Animate Deads, Forces. Like my 2 hate cards just turned everything off. So I got to play a pretty fair game, and they just couldn't do much. So that was cool seeing cards do stuff for that matchup. So we're still clawing. We're 5-2 now. So I'm like, complete hopium. Maybe if I win the last one, top 16. But I figured not. But whatever.
Yeah, and the auto start is like super rough in the tiebreakers.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it still feels good, right? If you can make it to 6-2, that's like a very respectable result.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, last round, my opponent smiles and says, "Oh, we were sitting next to each other last round. How's it going?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't pay attention at all."
I gotta remember that one too. Like, even if I didn't sit next to my opponent, I'd
Just
be
scare
like,
them.
"Sure, yeah. Last
So
round,
he-
I totally remember."
So he knew what I was doing. I had no clue what he was doing. But he was on Bant Nadu with like Green Suns, but with all the blue cards like Ponders, Brainstorms, Forces and stuff. But Green Sun package and Hierarchs and things. This was, I think, the coolest match of the 8 that I played. Like, it was really, really close. The guy played incredibly well. It was very technical from both sides, except for game 2, which I'll say in a second. So game 1, he gets, because I think I mulled to 5 and had an interesting hand where I was representing Blast, but I had no Blast in my hand. I flooded a bit, and I'm representing Blast and just passing with lands and an Engineer and a Painter in my hand. And then he's just like pondering, playing Mana Dorks, building up the perfect hand. And then a few turns later, I've just drawn more lands, and literally the only cards I have is Painter and the Engineer. So I think I'm going to play both. I think I had a Saga coming off. I'm going to just present 2 pieces that kill next turn with the combo, but it taps me out of red. He'll probably play a Nadu. He'll probably combo me, and I'll probably lose. But I just didn't figure that it was getting better, because he's probably going to go for it with a Force of Will in a couple of turns. So I went for it, and he did have the Nadu and comboed off and drew like most of his deck. So that was that. Game 2, I very skillfully played a turn 1 Magus, and he didn't have any basics.
See,
So
learning
very
from the best here. I gotta write that down actually. Game plan, turn 1, Magus of the Moon. Got it.
It's pretty good sometimes.
Just like we get that giant A4 printout that says turn 1 Magus for the matchup.
Just slam it in the middle of the table while you're sideboarding, just to like...
Look at the opponent and say, keep.
Because everyone knows you're going to play against Magus, but like he at the end of the game, like I did just attack like all the times of the Magus. I drew some other creatures to attack. He was like, I knew you had Magus, but my hand was just a Trop and then a Green Sun for a Dryad Arbor. That's that. So game 3 I actually sided out 2 Magus because I'm on the draw. He has Mana Dorks. He's obviously going to be fetching basics where he can, but it's still very good to constrict these kind of decks mana later game. But you can't rely on just slamming it early now, especially on the draw and with the complete knowledge they have it. So this game, I think I had I kept a 5 lander, but it was whatever, the other cards were good, and we played a very slow game and like very interactive, but I really, really flooded out. So I was trying to make the most of every single card I drew, and I had like a Welder and an Engineer as my 2 cards. That was it, and a Lotus Petal and 4 lands. But he Green Sun for a Scavenging Ooze before I could get the Chaos Defiler out. So he got the Chaos Defiler exiled, and then the Ooze was just keeping them in check. So I had to get a Pithing Needle, and I either could name the Ooze or I could name Nomads in case he like went for Nadu or something. But I figured I need to name the Ooze because otherwise it's going to outrace me. So we keep going. I then draw a Magus, which like constricts his mana. He has basic island, he has a basic plains, basic island, basic forest, and a Hierarch can play, but it still constricts him a bunch. And it was actually, it won this game. I drew a second one, played it as well, and then like as the game went on, he eventually got together a Nadu, which resolved with a Sylvan Safekeeper. So he drew about like 10 cards off like sacking lands, finding more lands, put into play. But the Maguses were like really constricting his mana, so you could only cast 1 or 2 a turn or something. And so it got to the point where he had Endurance and Uro in play, and he finally was like winning the race. But I got a Grindstone, and he found 2 forces, or 1 force, maybe 1 force off Nadu in response to it to like counter it, sacking all his lands.
I was sacrificing even more lands. Oh god.
Yeah, he had like 1 land left in play after going, finding the force. But I had 2 goblins and a Fable in play. This was like turn 20. We have really big boards of everything. But he countered it by I had 2 goblins to bring it back, activate, and then copy Engineer, go and get a Painter, bring it in. And I comboed him with 0 mana left in play to like, with any more interaction. And I think he had lethal next turn. So it was a super close. And like, again, I don't remember the details, but it was very, very technical from both sides. So that felt a really good one to win because I was definitely behind, and neither of us thought that I was going to get there in the last few turns, so that was cool.
Cool, dude. You clawed all the way back from 0-2. I really appreciate that. That's like really cool.
Yeah, it felt great.
Which place did you get in the end?
28th or 29th. 29th,
Oh, that far down. I think I'd
Yeah.
been like, I don't know, 16th or something, 20th.
So I was absolute bottom of the 6-2s, as expected, to be fair.
Yeah, actually, you can't do worse than starting out 0-2. Yeah, that's true.
I saw my first 2 opponents kind of like walking around during the rest of the day, so I think their tournament didn't go very well and they dropped or something. So I knew I was low, but no, I was really chuffed with that. After a tough start, like just coming back, it feels so different to if starting 2-2, like with losses later rounds, then you think, oh, you know, I could have gone 7-1 or whatever. But I was absolutely chuffed to rattle off 6 wins in a row. So
yeah, you seem really happy about all of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
now actually you make me want to play again. You make me want to play Painter because honestly, like I was super exhausted on Sunday, right? Sunday was the one day where I could have played, but like people were like, hey, you can borrow my Elves Pauper deck, or I could have played the Premod. Like a lot of people were offering like Premodern decks to play, and it's just like I was so out of it, and it was insanely hot to the point where I was like, I just want to chill and hang around and like watch people play. But then at some point, Inigo Runecore, one of the co-organizers, he was like, Julian, come on, there's an 8-pin amount to fill. You have to play. And you have a legacy deck with you. Yeah, of course I have Painter. So I take my Painter deck. I sat down for the first Magic I've played all weekend on Sunday afternoon. And I like the exhaustion is really getting to me. And I'm not even kidding. Guys, I told this to you. I believe I played the worst match, literally the worst Magic I've played in the last decade. And like when I get to my mistakes, you will understand why, because this is so bad that I was actually shocked by myself. Like I looked back at the mistakes I made and I was like, how was that? Okay, so here's the first one. I played against Chess Guy Control. It was a top 8 single elimination winner against a Force of Negation. I sit down across from my opponent. We have this like usual trade-off of stuff, and I just get in there with like Painter and some Goblins. Like I get him all the way down to 4 life, but I don't really have anything going on. But it's just like I think I had like a Painter and a Goblin token, something like that. My hand is 2 blasts and a lightning bolt. I have like all the mana in the world. My opponent goes digging, finally uses Sanctuary, the blue thingy that puts something on the top. What's it called again?
Oh, Mystic Sanctuary.
Mystic Sanctuary, yeah. Puts Wrath of the Skies on top, the basically the new white Pernicious Steed. And I'm like, oh shit, oh no, now we have to like actually play a proper, because I was like just expecting to untap, hit him, and like bolt him out. I have 2 bolts in my deck, one of them is my hand, he's in 4 life, I attack, bolt, done. So it's his turn, he untaps, he draws the Wrath of the Skies for my entire board. He's got no cards left in hand, and I'm like, shit.
It's such a shame that your Painter deck doesn't play any counter spells. Your mono
yeah,
red
exactly
deck.
right. It's a white card, I have 2 blasts in hand, and I pack them up, put them away. And like so many turns later, actually the game ended soon after, I was like, wait a minute. I had like 2 blasts in hand and a Painter on blue. This is the whole point of the deck, right? My opponent must have been so surprised that it worked because I held on to these cards for the entire time where like nothing was happening. So he must have been so sure that there's a blasts. But no, I just... and I figured, you know, he's on 4, I have a lightning bolt in my hand. Let's just like go to the face. So my last card... the last card that did something I thought. Bolt to the face, put him down to 1. Untap, immediately put another lightning bolt from the top of my library to the table.
Like a pro.
Yeah, like a pro. I'm playing 2 copies. I was so fucking exhausted. In my head, I was like, you know, the easiest way would be if I just do lightning bolt so we can end it, because I'm so exhausted. It's just like I literally rip it, and without putting it into my hand, I just put it to a table. He packs it in like.
Please, Painter God.
Yeah. So yeah, that was already terrible, but I wasn't punished. The second game, oh my god, the second game was incredibly embarrassing. That was actually embarrassing. That was just like, the first one was my mind went away, I was stupid. The second one, I want to say a turn 1 Fable of the Mirror Breaker down. And it's been a while since I've played in paper, and I can't stress how exhausted I was. So on the second turn, I draw my card for the turn, and then like my head goes, you know how in Windows you've got that hourglass that like spins around when like the computer is doing something. That was happening in my head because I keep thinking Fable is supposed to do something now. And I literally think there for like, sit there for 10-20 seconds and think, this is like, I cast Fable last turn, it's supposed to do something, but I don't remember what it does. And I feel too embarrassed to actually to pick up my card and read it. The truth was actually, I've literally just felt too exhausted I was through it, because actually there were some people watching, including Jamie. So in my head, I go through it. I'm like, I think it draws 2 cards. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I just draw 2 cards. And then I look at the board and like the 2 cards in my hand, and I feel like this feels too good. I don't think that's actually what it does. It's just like feels way too good. There must be something. I'm like, oh yeah, I have to put the dice to 2. So I put the dice to 2, and then I'm again, nah, that's not it. Look at my opponent. Like, maybe my opponent can tell me what's on. He's like, oh, you have to discard first. And I was like, oh, yeah, you have to discard. So I discard 2 cards. I'm like, no, wait, that's still too good. And then he tells me, oh, you have to first discard. I'm like, so I put the 2 cards I drew back. But then I felt like, oh, this feels really bad because now I have additional information. So we could color charge, but it's just like whatever, the random 8-man. So I just like discarded the 2 cards that I was going to discard anyway and drew the cards, which were basically the same, was even worse, almost. And that was the second turn of that game. Later on, once again, you know how it works with Paint, all right? You sometimes like you get in your beats and like nothing really happens. The opponent defends himself. And I get to a point where I have Goblin Engineer and I put Phyrexian Dragon Engine into the graveyard. On the next turn, I sacrifice, I believe, a treasure token to put Phyrexian Dragon Engine into play. I discard my hand, draw 3 cards, which were even worse, but that's neither here nor there. And then once again, my opponent picks up Phyrexian Dragon Engine, and he asks me, what's it called again from the graveyard? Dude, I'm so bad. I must have literally lost so many brain cells over the weekend.
Unearth.
What does Unearth do? Yeah. And remember, I had put it into play of the engineer. He was just curious what Unearth does. And I told him, so it gains haste, and then at the end of turn, wherever it would go, it would go to the exile. He was like, okay. So all of a sudden, in my head, I had just unearthed it instead of like put it into play of engineer, which in a lot of times is actually worse because you lose the engineer engine, right? Because it goes to the exile. But in my head, I just explained what unearth does, and it's there in play. So I'm like, attack with the... Actually, I made a copy with the Fable of the Mirror Breaker backside, and I attacked my opponent for 8. And then I put it into exile, which is, it was so bad. Like, attacking there and getting the extra damage was nice, but it's just like, in the grand scheme of things, it's absolutely horrible because you're supposed to have that engine going on, but you keep recycling the cards in your hand, and the opponent can't do anything about it, because even if they have Wrath of the Skies, I think it still goes to the graveyard. And I just, like, at the end of turn, I take it and I put it into exile. And not gonna lie, like 5 or 6 turns later, I realized, why is that actually in exile? I don't remember, like, ever being Swords to Plowshares or something. They're like, I just, like, voluntarily put it into exile at my end of turn. And the funniest thing is, Callum, your friend Jamie watched. And he later told me he didn't figure out at all why I put it into exile, but he was like, Julian must be knowing what he's doing. And at that point, I considered, like, should I call a judge? Like, what are we going to tell the judge? Like, my opponent, or I accidentally put my creature into exile. It's actually supposed to be my graveyard. Like, whatever. Just, okay, it's an exile.
Yeah, I'll take it and move on.
Yeah, right. What are you going to do? It was just like didn't work out all that well for me, because then for the next 5 turns, my opponent was in 1 life, sitting behind a wall of counters, as I could tell, basically. So the Dragon Engine would have been insane, just stealing the game. But what can you do? So yeah, 3 major punts, and if you even want to call it a punt when you just voluntarily exile your most important creature.
It's not what I'd try to do.
You get Thorn Elemental down, and like you attack twice, and then you're like, you've done your thing. We're gonna move you into exile. Just like go farming.
Hey, you drew 3 cards. You can go and sleep now.
It's like so nice of your opponents that they literally let you play all this out. They probably had too much respect to basically stop you, right?
Honestly, I think my opponent also was completely caught in that whole alternate reality of Phyrexian Dragon Engine being unearthed. Just because he asked what Unearth does, even though I put it into play of Engineer, and then it put that thought into both of our heads that it was just Unearthed. I don't know,
I can see that.
But yeah, I went out in the quarterfinals. I don't regret it. It really showed me how bad you can get if you're like mentally out of shape, and I very much was that on that weekend, at least with regards to playing. Commentary, I did. I loved that. Always loved doing commentary, even though Mystic Forge is a horrible deck to do commentary on. It's just like so much dead air. Like, it's not even funny. Like, we kept putting it on because there were some other interesting decks, but I think overall I'm happy if I don't have to do commentary on Mystic Forge for the rest of my life ever again.
But I mean, the exhaustion makes sense, because doing all that commentary, which was a ton, like 2 days worth, and then it was incredibly humid there. Like, everyone was struggling, I think. So
it's basically why I didn't want to play at all in the first place. It was just like, dude, this like Friday and Saturday was fine, but Sunday, holy shit! Like, I need one of those suits from Japan. Kai, have you seen those? They have basically fans built into the back that do like ventilation of your shirt and everything.
Yeah, and it looks like you have like all muscles and things, right?
Yeah, you look more like
you look really buff.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was my Sunday. But we have somebody else who also got to play on Sunday. And Callum, you did play in Premodern, right?
Yes, Very exciting. I love playing this format. I wasn't sure whether to play Premodern. I didn't sign up until the evening before Saturday evening because I was thinking maybe I wanted to go to the beach and stuff. But then I got in the mood for it, and I rushed to sign up. I signed up the evening before, submitted the deck list like 5 minutes before it started, and then was on the playlist. And the evening before, they had marked it as paid, and I hadn't paid yet. You have to pay at the venue, and I just completely forgot about it. So when I was on the playlist, I went over to ask, and they were like, "Have you paid?" I was, "Oh shit, no, sorry." So I paid quickly, but they'd already paired the first round, and Andrea Mengucci had already come over to me saying, "Callum, I got the buy. This sucks." So you can see where this is going. And the evening before, we were talking about Premodern, and he was playing Replenish, and he was like, "I've never lost to Goblins. It's such a good matchup," and I was going to play Goblins. So the lovely judges get me in the event quickly and add me on. They say, "Right, you're going to play against whoever has the bye." So I was like, "Yeah, that's Andrea. I know. He's already told me." So I had to go and find him and say, "We're playing." And he just laughed and said, "Okay, let's do this." So it was a nice start. It was a very fun match. We were laughing and joking, but it is a horrific matchup for Goblins. And he trashed me 2-0 in about 10 minutes. And that's fine. But
in 10 minutes.
Great fun.
Does it have like any kind of like main deck interaction against the whole replenish thing?
So the replenish deck has a lot of clunky cards. It has Ancient Tomb to like make the mana faster, and Frantic Search to kind of add a mana with Ancient Tomb. So it can have some pretty aggressive, like fast mana starts, but ultimately it's playing loads of 3 and 4 mana cards. So Wasteland and Richard Port are very good against the deck, but you need to apply enough pressure quickly and not let them get under that. So I kept a 1-lander with a Lackey and Siege Gang Commander, thinking, right, this is just very aggressive. Maybe it works. I can't remember if I was on the play or not, but he had a Swords to Plowshares for the Lackey. He said, like, "I know what you're trying to do to me." So he Swords the Lackey. I didn't have a play because I was on 1 land. And so game 1 was kind of a wash. And then game 2 was showing my inexperience in the format, nothing else. So I had no idea that they sided into Exalted Angel, or maybe I've seen it before, but it didn't register at all. So I sided out all of my Gem Palm Incinerators, which is my main removal. And then he goes, "Turn 2 off Ancient Tomb, more for creature," and I instantly know I'm dead. My hand is like
You're like,
3
this must be
naturalizers.
Willbender, right?
Yeah, it could be Willbender, but it could be Exalted Angel. But my hand is like 3 naturalize effects or something, so I was all ready for that. But I just died to the Exalted Angel. There's absolutely nothing I could have done. I don't play Anarchy, which is like something some people do, which is destroy all white permanents. But I need to leave some Gem Palm Incinerators in the deck for that.
I mean, that's basically what the deck wants in the first place, right? So you have to kind of split your hate and game plan and everything. Yeah. And they don't have Exalted Angel, then you have like these. I guess Gem Palm Incinerator is never dead because it cycles, so it's actually a pretty cool card to keep around. Yeah,
like there's 4 in the main deck, and I should have maybe trimmed 1, but
I guess Siege Gang is something you could cut. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I actually did cut. I cut down to 3 ringleaders. I trimmed 1 and 2 Siege Gangs, or maybe I kept at least 2 Siege Gangs because it's the best thing to put off Lackey for a quick clock.
So you have like a thing for losing the first round, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what Andrea said. So afterwards we were laughing about it. He said, "I'll see you in the finals," because obviously losing the first rounds helps you. So I'm like, okay, I'll see you in the finals. I'll do my best. So round 2 was against, I think it's called Full English Breakfast. It's the Volras Shapeshifter combo deck.
Yeah. But those who don't know very quickly, it used to be, correct me if it's changed now, it used to be that you put a Chroma Angel of Wrath into your graveyard. So Volras Shapeshifter is always the top card of your graveyard. You attack with it, your opponent most likely can't block it, and then before damage you discard Phage the Untouchable, and it connects, deals damage, the opponent loses. I bet there's a much more elaborate way to do it these days.
Nope, well that's exactly what happened in one of these games, so you're right.
Really? Oh!
Yeah. It's absolutely sick. So yeah, to explain even more, Volras Shapeshifter is a 3 mana, like 1 and 2 blue, a 0/1, and it has a great ability of 2 colors, discard a card. But then, as long as the top card of your library is a creature card, it's a copy of that creature, basically. So, as Julian said, the idea is you play Survival of the Fittest, and like you discard a creature, and then it's going to be that creature. So you can discard a Chroma, search for Phage, and then you attack with the Chroma. It's very hard to block a Chroma in Premodern or kill it, and especially for a Goblins deck with protection from red. And then discard Phage and deals 4, they lose the game. So game 1, I won because of Wasteland and Port being really good. That was it. Wasteland and Port are just still really, really good cards. Port is, I think, the best card in Premodern.
Dude, Wasteland is fucking broken.
Richard Port is fucking broken. So, I just color screwed him. He drew a bunch of lands, but I had some interaction for Shapeshifter as well. Game 2 is where I wasn't sure what he was on. I hadn't seen the Shapeshifter actually, I think, but I thought it was some kind of graveyard-centric combo deck. So I sided in 2 Tormund Scripts out of 3, and I didn't side in Pyroblast because I hadn't seen the Shapeshifter yet. And I don't know the format that well. I just love playing it. So I bring in the 2 Tormund Scripts, and then that's where he showed me the Shapeshifter. I was like, okay, I need the 3rd Tormund Script. I need these Pyroblasts because your whole combo is a blue creature. So I got to do a nice little trick where he attacked with a Shapeshifter, and I have a Tormund Script in play. So he obviously has 2 big creatures in hand, and I have Matron as my only creature. So I'm like, okay, I'll block with the Matron. So he discards a Hypnox, which is essentially an 8/8 flyer. Oh, 8/8 at least. And so he's then expecting me to crack the Tormund Script, and then he exiles something else, which is probably the better creature. But I just go to damage, Matron dies, and at the end of the turn I crack the Tormund Script because it's a 0/1 with 1 damage marked on it.
Oh,
that's cool.
booyah.
Yeah. So he then is like, oh, so he exiles his graveyard, and then I'm like, so that dies now because it's got a damage marked on it. He's like, oh, yeah. So actually, do you mind if I respond? I'm like, you can, but it's just going to exile it as well. And he's like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Oh, dude,
So-
you're actually way too nice. I would have totally let him discard the other card as well.
No, it's pre-modern. We were chatting and having fun. Like, he hadn't discarded it. He had missed it. So me letting him
Dude,
go
that's
back
actually
and
such a sweet play. That's such a sweet play, seriously.
So that was nice. Yeah, I think I ended up losing this though. Like the game went long, and he just like kind of drew some extra cards than I did, and yeah, the game went long, and he found another Shapeshifter, and that's fine. Game 3, I got to sideboard properly, so bring in my Pyroblasts. I had bring in 2 extra Naturalizers already because I know it's a survival deck, so that was good. So I had all these sideboard cards against him: 4 Pyroblasts, 4 Naturalize, and 3 Tormund Scripts. So it's a lot of sideboard cards. So I figured I can just play this control game because his mana is very weak to Wasteland Import as well. So we'll just do this. So game 3 was very interactive. He like got a survival down. He activated it once. I got to naturalize it in response, and he had no more creature in his hand.
It's usually where you get Eternal Witness, but I guess that's not pre-modern legal.
No, it's not. No. So I Pyroblast a couple of Shapeshifters. He also has Dreadnoughts, Phyrexian Dreadnoughts in the deck with Stifles. So,
he does play the Stifle plan as well.
Yeah, so Stifle is probably often 4 Tormund Scripts, I think. But because you have Stifle already, you might as well play Phyrexian Dreadnought. And also, if you discard a Phyrexian Dreadnought to the Shapeshifter, it's a 12/12. So it feeds into lots of different plans, which is cool. So he got to get a Dreadnought, which I got to naturalize. And the game just went very long. But he also got an Engineered Plague in play. And I kind of expected, because he's got black in his deck, so it's like, okay, fine. But I used the naturalize on the survival and the Dreadnought because I thought I can beat the Engineered Plague. So how the game actually played out is I played a War Chief that attacked twice for 1 damage, and then it died to something. But I had a Richard Port, and he had a City of Brass.
Oh,
so
that's that game. Holy shit, I watched that.
I Richard imported his City of Brass at least 10 times. I think it was about 12 or 13 times. Still 12 or 13 damage to him. And he had taken a few pings himself from like Yavimaya Coast and stuff. And then at the very end of the game, he has a Psychotog, which is like a 2-turn lethal against me. And I don't have the Pyroblast, but I draw a CGN Commander with the War Chief in play. So I get to like just throw the War Chief at his face, then throw the CGN Commander at his face, and Richard Import the city when I think I'm facing lethal in 2 turns at that point. So yeah, the port won me the game by so far.
It's actually insane because I remember coming to your table and look at the opponent's side of the board, which had like 3 creatures survive, like everything. Yeah. And you had nothing except for that.
Psychotog, something else, and the plague and everything. But I realized that was my win condition like about 10 turns before, because this is where I didn't naturalize the Engineered Plague, because I thought I need this to kill the Dreadnought, I need it to kill something else. So I just thought, okay, we'll leave it for now.
Like, I love how slow these pre-modern games play out.
Yeah.
Like where that's actually a thing, right?
It's a thing where you side in a card that does something against one specific card in their deck, because the games go so long very often that's going to come up. Like my Tormund Script is going to exile something that he's survivaled for, because that's just how it works. Like,
is Rashad Import the best card in all of pre-modern?
I think it is. As someone that doesn't play a ton of pre-modern, take it with a grain of salt. But playing Goblins, Richard Import is just crazy. It's so good. It just wins so many games. So
you were like 2-1 at that point, right? It was like a 5-round tournament.
I was just 1-1. This is round 2. It was a 5-round tournament.
Okay.
Round 3, I play against a guy that I played in the trios. I was playing pre-modern in the trios as well, where I went 4-1. losing a mirror because I'll tell the story afterwards. I lost a mirror in a very funny way. So round 3, I played against a guy that I played in the trios, and we had a great time. We kept saying hi to each other the rest of the weekend. He was playing Sly, which is mono red aggro there, but I'd sat next to him the round before, and he was playing White Weenie. And White Weenie has 4 Silver Knights, which is protection from red, and 4 Sartari Priests, which is protection from red. And I know he has Absolute Law, which is a 2-mana enchantment, which is all creatures have protection from red. So he has a lot of protection from red in his deck. So I was like, oh shit, I know what's going to happen. But I just had really good draws. And game 1, he had 2 lands, and I drew 2 ports, and he never cast more than 2 or 3 spells. And then game 2, he flooded a bit. He drew 1 or 2 pro-red guys, but I just went really wide and got around it quite easily actually. So it was a surprisingly easy win, but I think it's because my draws were good, his were not great. So we done pretty quickly there. Round 4, I played against Sly, and then I knew what I was against, and someone talking to before, they said, how does this matchup usually go? I think it was you actually, Julian. It's like, how does Sly usually go? And I was like, I got no idea. So Goblins, if the game goes late, is definitely favored because we have the card advantage. So my plan was to just trade cards wherever you can. I lost game 1 to just getting bolted out, but game 2 and game 3 were game 2 was not close because I just, Mog Fanatic is an MVP of the matchup. It's so much better than Lackey because you can ping Grimlove Mancer because you can't get into combat with it, or you can ping a Ball Lightning and stuff. So
Ball Lightning, that's just so flavorful. When I saw somebody cast Ball Lightning against you, I was like, yeah, this is the format I want to get much deeper into.
Yeah, I think I matroned for Mog Fanatic twice that game as well, which is cool.
Okay, that's another level.
Yeah. Then game 3 was super close. He did actually have the win on game 3. He needed to upkeep Activated Curse Scroll so he could guarantee it, and then shocked me. But I had 2 or 3 ports going, and it was really, really late game, and I had lethal with creatures the next turn, and he didn't, and drew something he couldn't cast. So
that's such a common mistake. I remember when I started playing 25 years ago or something, I also played a Curse Scroll deck. And I also always did it in the main phase. Until one of the better players at my school, he came over and told me, Julian, let me let you into the secret of upkeep Curse Scroll. And I was like, a new, completely, entirely new world opened up before me. You can actually do meaningful things in your upkeep on purpose. Whoa.
Yeah. Crazy plays. So, 3-1 now after the round 1 loss. This is a common theme from Legacy as well. Round 5, I actually get to ID. So at 3-1, I usually wouldn't, but with 32 players, I think, I was on table 3 because I'd gotten paired up. So basically, in this number of players, you can just always ID if you're the top 3 tables.
It's the safest number of players you can ID at 3 and 1.
Yeah, exactly. So
you lost to Mango, right? And Mango was probably going to go undefeated.
Oh yeah, so Mengu had played against his first 3 rounds was against Goblins, and he got to ID twice. So he was just easiest tournament of my life. All 3 Goblins, and so I was playing. I had ID. I had Great Breakers from him, so I got to ID, and it was a clean cut. I was in 8th, but it was pretty safe. But what I really wanted to dodge was I was hoping he didn't play the last round because then he could be 1st seed and I would be 8th seed, and I didn't want to play that. So luckily he ID'd both the last 2 rounds, and then he was 3rd or 2nd, and I was 8th. So I wasn't going to see him to the finals if that was true.
Yeah, you were both on opposite ends of the brackets, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was nice. So into the top 8 round.
Congratulations, by the way. Everybody clap.
Thank you.
If you're sitting at home, you can clap along to enjoy the experience.
Yeah, Premodern, just to talk about it, Premodern, I always seem to do quite well with, and Goblins is very good, that's the thing, and it's such a fun deck to play with. Every time I play it, I just have so much fun. In the London events, I've won and come 2nd and done badly once with the Goblins. And in the teams, I went 4-1 as well, so the deck is just really good. So if you're a Goblins fan, play it and pick up this deck, because it's quite cheap. And it's just so fun. It plays like old Legacy Goblins did with just your classic Goblins. It's a beautiful deck.
In a way, it really feels like the gap between, I want to say, what do we call it? They are trying to fill a gap between old school and whatever is a newer format, and this is where this is sitting at, right? It reminds me a lot of old extended, of early Legacy, somewhere around that area.
It's exactly
it goes from
old extended. Yeah,
it goes 4th edition all the way up to Onslaught Block, I believe, right?
Yeah, Scourge.
So right before Mirrodin.
Yeah, so Scourge is the last set. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds just so great. Oh yeah, the whole idea is it's old frame, right? So you make the cutoff where the new frame is coming in. Dude, that's why I love the format so much. I just realized this.
It's a wonderful combination of, it's a nostalgic format for sure. I play it because I have so much nostalgia. Exalted Angel and Ravenous Baloth are two of my favorite cards ever. So just seeing a format where they're actively incredibly good is just really cool. Like Baloth is played a lot as well in the rock decks and things. And I bought loads of cards for the decks during COVID, I think, when it started to boom, just thinking, okay, it's nostalgia, but actually the gameplay is fantastic as well.
It's fantastic gameplay. Yeah, that's what won me over for it.
It's not a solved format. Like, people are still doing new things. The guy I got to ID with in round 5 was playing like a pretty new deck, which is like survival, but with Wild Mongrel and Basking Root Wallers and stuff. So, but with black for Cabal Therapies and
so like a mix between like the Rock and Madness.
No, but it plays Zombie Infestation as well. That's it. So it's like
that deck made top 8.
Yeah.
I saw the Zombie Infestation deck and I was like, dude, this is just such a meme. Loving it. No, actually, the guy was that the guy who was also giving out like a lot of information about like the pre-tournaments in Valencia, I believe.
It was there was one guy
was he
that
wearing
played
like the Premodern shirt.
Yeah, so he played it. He wasn't the guy that top 8'd, but yeah, he played it as well. Because he was telling me about it. This is like a new thing they've just brewed up in the last couple of months and stuff. So
Kai and I were talking to him a lot between the rounds and everything.
Yeah. So I mean, that's again like just seeing how cool the format is. There's new kind of
I very badly want to build one of those decks.
Yeah. Cool. So into the quarterfinals, where I was either going to be against a guy that was on a super sick blue-black Psychotog deck, which was like Psychotog, Shagged Maiden with a Traitor, and then loads of counter spells and removal, which I was like thinking, okay, he's probably going to have Engineered Plague, so it might be quite hard, or a blue-white Standstill person, which is by far the best matchup for Goblins. So I get the Standstill opponent, which is lovely, and we have a cool game 1 where he plays a turn 2 Standstill on the play, and then we just go Lango for a while, but Goblins has Ports and Wastelands, so you can go Lango. And so I eventually crack it when he's got 7 cards in hand and missed a couple of land drops. And so I crack it, he counters the Ringleader that I play, but then I just don't play anything else. So he draws, he has nothing proactive to play, so just discards 2 or 3 cards as well. So I've played against Standstill a lot, so I've kind of gotten used to that. And then game 2, my hand is absolutely broken. It's like turn 1 Lackey, put in Siege Gang Commander, then port you and Wasteland you. And I think he died turn 4, not having cast a card.
So for those watching along or listening along at home, what's the mass removal of choice in Modern? What are you going up against?
Wrath of God.
Is that it?
Basically.
4-mana sorcery, and you got Port and Wastelands in a turn 1 Lucky Start? Oh yeah, that sounds sturdy.
It's super rare for Goblins to actually get Wrath of Godded.
And if they do, it's probably worth it.
If the game goes really late, you're actually just more scared of Decree of Justice, because then, you could,
then they can actually win the game?
Yeah, because they can actually win the game. But like if the game goes super late, you just play loads of Ringleaders and Matrons and stuff and make them Wrath of God some small things. But so it's you either get Wrath of God when it's fine, or you just port their white sources, and it's very hard for them to Wrath of God in time if you have a fast start. So it's like it's a card they have to have in against you, and they leave it in. But like really, they want Hydro Blast and Source Splashes to deal with the early aggression.
Yeah.
They always board in Circular Protection from red, which I think is really bad against Goblins, because they need to leave up so much mana for it. So it's like, okay, I'm going to attack with my 5/1/1s or 2/2s. Do you want to spend 4 of your mana to like do it on them so I can resolve my Ringleaders? So I don't know. That's my one thing.
Protection require colored mana or colorless mana?
It's colorless, so they can use their utility lands for it, but still, it's just so much mana to use your already 2 mana card.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people play Warmth, but I guess that's more for the Slime matchup.
Yes, yeah, totally. So I think I had my white weenie opponent play Warmth against me, but I had like 2 naturalizers in hand and creatures on play already. It was so bad. Anyway, Standstill was lovely. I don't think I've ever lost against that deck in.
Oh, now you sound like the guy who's like, oh, I've never lost to Painter.
No, it's not because of my skill. It's just because the matchup is so favored for Goblins. Cool.
So you were up in the semifinals. The semifinals is actually where I started watching again, and you were up against the player you wanted to avoid the most initially?
Kind of. So it was either going to be another blue-white Standstill player, which I would love, or mono-black Pit, which is bottomless Pit.
For those who don't know, by the way, bottomless Pit makes you discard a random card at which point?
Each upkeep.
Each upkeep, okay.
Or like in your upkeep, you discard one. Yeah, both players. I don't mind playing as mono black. I think as well.
Afterwards, you were like pretty positive about the matchup, but I think initially you didn't like it too much. But maybe I'm wrong.
I just liked it less than Standstill. That was it. So I preferred it against blue white again. But I was fine with this matchup. I've played it once or twice before. It's okay. Like you can just outgrind them. I just know that they play 4 Engineered Plague in the sideboard and Plague Spitters and stuff. So they do have a lot of removal, it's good. So game 1 was kind of close. Like there was a point where I had a War Chief in play and another creature or two, and then Bottomless Pit was going, and I had 2 cards left in hand, and then the card I discarded was a Matron, and I had a Ringleader left in hand, and then I slammed the Ringleader, and the Ringleader drew 3 cards, and everyone was watching when, oh my god, that was so lucky to not hit the Ringleader. But like Matron was almost better there because I just go and get I had 3 mana in play, so I go and get a Pile Driver and I attack for like 15. So I think Ringleader was the worst one to keep, but everyone seemed to be impressed by it because it actually found another Matron which got Ringleader the next turn for lethal. So. Oh no! It drew a Pile Driver, which I could play as well. So that was cool. Just one out of nowhere, like 18 damage, boom, dead. And then game 2 and 3 had very similar things. So Engineered Plague is a hell of a card, and both games they played 2 or 3 of them. 2 is like the
one of the games they actually played 3 copies of it even.
So both games they played 2 or 3. Can't remember exactly which one.
Yeah.
So I have 4 Naturalizers and 2. I forgot the name of it. Something Silence. It's 1 in the green, destroy all enchantments, basically, instant. So that's really good against them because they have multiple Engineered Plagues. They have Bottomless Pit as an enchantment. So I've got 6 pieces of removal for these things, so I feel pretty good. But game 2 is super, super, super long. Probably goes to like turn 25 or something. I can't remember. But they have 2 Engineered Plagues, and I just couldn't find the Naturalizers, I think. And I eventually lose a close one. And then game 3, I put them on the play. So I sided out loads of my 1/1s. I sided down to 1 Lackey, 1 Mog Fanatic, just so I can Matron for them if I need to. But I'm like, the first Plague is fine. The second one I'm going to have to remove. It'll kill a couple of creatures. And they had played a Plague and then not played another one the following turn, even though they had 3 mana up. And I'd played a War Chief, so I figured they don't have a second Plague. So I just played out some more creatures, and then they drew a second one. So I was like, okay, damn. And they had duress.
Can we very quickly go back to you putting the opponent on the play, because I feel everybody at the table was like, what the fuck? And even like the opponent asked twice to confirm that he was supposed to be on the play. And you got, like that came completely out of nowhere to me. I was standing next to you and was like, whoa.
I think
maybe explain that.
I hadn't done it before, and it just came to me during game 2. But this game, with the way I sideboarded, going down to essentially 0 lackeys, or I had 1 lackey, like, I'm not going to win this game fast, and their deck doesn't win fast. I sided in like Pyrokinesis as well as removal. I'm trying to play this long game because I feel definitely favored if the game goes long, because I have these 6 pieces of removal for the plagues, especially if they play out 2 plagues. I can kill both in one turn with the Tranquility card. So it's like, okay, it should be fine. So they're just a discard deck. They're a Bottomless Pit deck. They have Duresses, Cabal Therapies. I just want raw cards because I need to kill their creatures. I'm trying to cast Pyrokinesis for pitching as well. So I just want the extra card. The game is going to go long. I'm very, very certain of it. So I figured put them on the play, just take the extra card. And yeah, I think it was the right decision. I would do it again. Like, do you think so? The way the game played?
But the way you sideboarded very much, like the way you sideboarded, I very much agree with that. Like at the time, my primary thought was when I saw you doing that, oh, he wants to increase his odds of finding one of the green removal spells. But now that you mentioned that you side out all of your early aggression, I think it makes all the much more sense. Also, the opponent doesn't really have a way to like tempo-esque punish you. There's like no play that you have to get ahead of. Really?
They play Dark Ritual and Hypnotic Spectre, so like
but that's the one thing. Okay, yeah.
So it's kind of risky, but at the same time, like if I'm on the play, it's still a good play. Like I still can't interact with it apart from Pyrokinesis, and it's the same on the play or draw, but it's kind of better than the draw because I have more draws at it. So yeah, I'm happy with that decision. Again, it only came to me while we were playing game 2. I was like, okay, this is how game 3 is going to go, and it's fine. So yeah, put them on the play. Definitely happy with that. And the game went on and on and on. I'm pretty sure it was like turn 25.
Yeah, you went so late that I was actually concerned for you whether you still had enough goblins left in the deck to win the match. Yeah. Because I took a picture of that. I haven't posted it yet. Your library had something like 40 plus cards. Your graveyard was like 3 times as much as your library, and you literally only had like, I don't know, less than 20 cards left in your deck.
Yeah.
So and you had, like all the goblins had died at that point, right?
So how the game went is I had to keep playing ringleaders to kind of into 2. So they had 2 Engineered Plagues down. I think they played a third and they naturalized 1 or something like that.
Basically, they had 1 down. No, you're right. They had 2 down. Then you naturalized 1, and they went down to 1 plague. So I felt like, oh great, now you can like rebuild this board with some of the like 2 toughness creatures. And then your opponent drew for the turn and slammed another plague. And I wasn't sure whether he ripped it from the top or like consciously kept it in hand because he was afraid of, by the way, the card is called Tranquil Domain, which destroys all global enchantments. So I figured like maybe the opponent was playing around that in a way.
He was a good player, so I give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was, I think. So I had to keep playing the ringleaders to try and draw 2 or 3 more goblins into double plague, so they instantly die. But because he had bottomless pit and the rack, I had to keep my hand high. And even later in the game, I played a matron to like go and get something else, and I was like, do I go and get a pile driver to reduce my deck size so I can draw a naturalize or a tranquil domain earlier? And so I was playing matrons to like thin the deck to try and draw a thing, because I had 3 ringleaders in hand, I had 2 siege gang commanders, 2 war chiefs, I had all the action in my hand. I just needed to draw these things, and my deck just didn't give me the naturalize effects. It just didn't want to at all. Like, we went so many turns, and so
it was actually painful to watch. Like every time you were shuffling a library for matron, like I look at the deck and there's like 5 removal spells left. Yeah, it's like all green and then a couple of creatures and some lands.
Yeah.
And I figured, dude, at some point, right? But it went like all the way until the super late end game. And I'm not even sure if you drew the second one at all. But
I drew a couple more. I drew them, but they had drawn other creatures at that point. So I was under a clock and I had no hand because of the bottomless pit. So I drew a couple at the end, but when the game ended, they attacked me for lethal. I looked at my library. There were 7 cards left, and 3 of them were naturalized effects. So it's just like, hey,
as it happens at times.
Yeah, I mean, the takeaway is I'd play that game and match exactly the same way again. Like, I was happy with the sideboard plan.
Magic, by the way. I really like, even though like it kind of was weird because of a lot of the game depended on at which point you're going to draw your naturalize effects. But overall, I felt like a lot of things from both sides were very, very conscious decisions. Like very small conscious decisions that added up over the course of the game, as opposed to like what people call battlecruiser magic, I guess.
Yeah. I had one play earlier in this game, which I was probably most proud of out of all the match, or actually the whole event, was they had 2 Mistress Factories and a Swamp in play.
Okay, everybody strap yourself in there. That's an amazing story.
It's a very low. I feel like it's not guaranteed to work, but it's very low kind of commitment from me. So basically, I had my basic forest already in play. I'd actually played it turn 1, so that in case they went turn 1 Dark Ritual bottomless pit, I couldn't discard it. So I consciously just played basic forest turn 1 because it was my opening hand, and I had 1 port in play. So everyone knows Goblins plays 1 forest, so I had a Wood of Foothills up in this turn that wasn't representing green because my forest was tapped. Basically, I had 6 mana, and I used 4 of it, including the port and the forest, to play a ringleader, and I drew some goblins off it. So I passed the turn with a Wooded Foothills and a basic mountain up, and I played the land afterwards just to kind of sell it a bit more, basically. And then this is against 2 Mistress Factories. I have a Pyrokinesis in my hand, so by tapping the forest and using the port, I'm just like going shields down, and this game is going to go long. So if he draws us a 4th land, he's very, very incentivized to attack with both factories, because I don't have naturalize and I don't have the port up to punish it, and I don't have any goblins in play to gem palm. So I hadn't played a Pyrokinesis this match yet. This was game 2, I think, or game 3 maybe. So I incentivize the thing. He draws his land and he attacks with both factories, and I get to Pyrokinesis both factories. I'm pretty sure he doesn't do it if I leave the port or the forest untapped. He just plays another spell instead. But that was nice. It was a kind of like, it was a bait, and it was a very low opportunity cost for me, and that paid off nicely.
Yeah. I watched that and it felt so satisfying, seriously. Your opponent pumping mana into that and attacking, and then you just go Pyrokinesis on both of the factories. Yes, man.
Oh, wow.
Give me more of that. By the way, like you mentioned, right, another very small thing that incentivizes the opponent to do something and getting a payoff out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because he could have even like just attacked with 1 and pumped it, so you deal 1 less damage, but it makes Pyrokinesis not as good. But again, just the saying, I'm shields down, and he hadn't seen a Pyrokinesis yet. Yeah, it was a little bait.
Loving it.
But anyway, he played super, super well as well. Like, made all the right decisions. I think that mono black deck, it looks like it kind of just like goes discard, rack, blah, blah, blah. But I think that deck is also very hard to play. And it was a really, really interesting match that we played about 50, 60 turns over, I think. Yeah. So it was cool.
You played more Magic than some people played in the entire tournament in Legacy.
Seriously, yeah. Congrats.
Yeah. So I just left it like just absolutely buzzing, in love with the deck and format. I'm
looking forward to the next Premodern tournament.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain I'm going to play Premodern at Eternal Weekend over Vintage.
Yeah, same for sure. Like
Get some
Premodern,
goblins.
I was actually surprised when I kept talking about it, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, is that like really a properly established format?" Because like Premodern has been, I want to say, for a year or two, like probably the biggest. I keep calling it the biggest non-EDH custom format. I'm not sure whether it has overtaken Pauper. I don't think it has, because Pauper has like these 300, 400, 500 player or 600 player tournaments in Italy.
Yeah.
So maybe the claim is not completely accurate, but
No, it's
Premodern is
nothing-
growing like crazy, and I think it's the next thing that might actually get added to Magic Online.
I've already asked in the Discord once. I'm going to ask again.
Yeah, so will I.
Yeah, I'm going to keep pushing for it. I think it'll happen. The other beautiful thing is that the people are so passionate. 3 of my opponents, we chatted about things afterwards and before, and then these guys from Lisbon I was talking to as well, and from Madrid, and everyone's just so passionate about it, and they want to chat about it and play it and stuff. So that's pretty infectious as well.
By the way, shout outs to the Lisbon crew. Always loved seeing those guys. Also
Lisbon
like
as well,
super
yeah.
passionate. They also put up Pedro Doris came runner up in the Legacy main event playing Blue Black Scam. So we're going to talk about that in a quick moment.
Yep.
But Callum, you disappointed Mengu. Like you
Yeah,
did not
so-
show up to your date.
In round 1, after he smashed me, he was like, okay, we'll meet in the final. And then when we got to top 8, he was like, we'll meet in the final. He was watching and he saw it was kind of out of my hands. But yeah, I disappointed him. He went on to win, which is cool. So his rounds, as I said, he played 3 goblins the first 3 rounds of Swiss, and then double ID. And then in the quarterfinals, he played against goblins as well. So goblin.
We're going to talk about this deck in a quick moment when we come over to our 3 theses for the Eternal Magic thingy. But yeah, Kai, are you excited for Premodern? Because like you did your booth the entire Sunday, right?
Yeah, mainly. I don't know anything about Premodern, but it's like if you can sell it as the super old legacy format before Innistrad even, then that might be like the catchphrase to get a couple of people in.
It's before Mirrored even. That's the big thing, right? It's not only pre Innistrad.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, it's
right.
basically in many ways what old extended and early legacy looked like across the board.
So I was told that like Forza Will is like is not allowed, but you can play Gush, which is even better.
People play like blue white control decks with like Gush, Foil, Stifle. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And apparently, like sometimes people play like 2 copies of Fact or Fiction, or maybe even
Fact
more.
Fiction's played a ton in Blue White Standstill. Oh yeah,
Blue White Standstill. You're right. Like that. I asked one of the guys about the mono blue Stifle Knot deck because he told me that he believes blue Stifle Knot is the best deck in the format, but that deck is so low to the ground that it doesn't really have the mana for Fact or Fiction. But it basically plays everything else you can find between 0 and 2 mana. But yeah, Gush is a thing, and people gush all around.
Gush is really good. They play Foil as well.
Even foil.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that card is actually expensive just because of that stupid joke.
Yeah.
So yeah, is there like which kind of deck would you play in Premodern, Kai? From everything you've heard,
I guess, is there a good Dark Ritual deck out there?
is Dark Ritual even legal? Oh yeah, Dark Ritual is legal.
It is. Tendrils is banned, and the Doomsday decks are pretty bad, but they're out there.
But hey, there is a Doomsday deck, so I think I'm probably gonna start there and then see how it goes. But
also, there's like Mono Black Pit plays Dark Ritual, but it's not combo. But the Doomsday decks win with Future Sight, and you replay Doomsdays and stuff. It's pretty cool.
sounds really janky.
By the way,
but
also for those people who want to check it out, premodernmagic.com, that's the website, and this is where I saw it like many years ago, and I got insanely hooked just looking at those decks. I'm doing it right now again. You go to premodernmagic.com. On the very bottom, you click on decks, and they are just like the masters of marketing. They just don't put deck lists there. They literally show the entire decks in beautiful, beautiful ways. Like you can see, oh my god, Stroke of Genius is in there. And this is a control deck that plays 2 copies of Gaia's Blessing, so it doesn't run out of cards. Holy shit. Slice and dice.
I think the website is a bit outdated, but
it might be,
it's still
yeah. Like
beautiful.
some of the decks
It's
are
still
a little older.
yeah. Oath of Druids is also one of the best cards in the format. But like the
there's a
creatures you get
proper
off it
elf
aren't
deck.
that good, which is fun.
Wait, people play like Roffalos? Ooh. Aim of Awakening combo. Oh, okay, there's Goblins. Oh, this is just like Horn of Greed. Come on, Metal Worker.
I played Horn of Greed lands at the last London Premodern thing. And like you just go Horn of Greed, and then you play Upheaval with explorations and stuff.
oh,
so
that's
sick.
By
beautiful.
the way, Kai, there's a Dark Ritual Reanimator. And they put Viscera, the Dreadful, Verdant Force, and Symbiotic Worm into the graveyard to reanimate them.
Oh, that is so cute, though. That is so cute. Yeah. I guess that counts.
There's also a Survival of the Fittest recurring nightmare deck. Holy shit.
Yeah,
dude,
the
I
rock is
can't
very
stop
good.
scrolling. I can't stop scrolling looking at all of this. Okay, I gotta
Join
close.
us.
This is like a drug. This is seriously, yeah. Everybody, we were not paid by Mr. Premodern or whoever that would be.
Mr. Premodern.
I'm Mr. Premodern. And this is my format. No, seriously, love Premodern and want to get into it. So yeah, everybody, if you are interested in this kind of Magic, it plays amazingly. It's not only like a nostalgia thing. I believe some old custom formats, they rather exist because of nostalgia, not necessarily. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. I think old school gameplay is terrible, but that's where I'm coming from.
A little thing to add for Premodern as another nice positive is it's a nostalgia format, but it has good gameplay. And I think a lot of the people like get the old frame cards and it's nice. Like my Goblins deck, I'm working on getting it all Japanese, making it look very nice and stuff. It's like a slow passion project, but the format is very, very open to reprints. Like a lot of people play newer versions of stuff. You don't have the same thing that old school has, where like you have to play the old versions. People don't really give a shit. They really like the gameplay. So you'll very often see people playing all different versions, new printings and stuff. So if you're thinking about getting the format and you don't care about the old cards and you don't have the nostalgia, which is a lot of people, like if you didn't play all these years ago, why would you have nostalgia? Then you can just get the new things. There's no snobbiness that I've encountered in the format about it. So just play what you want.
The community is like super chill, right? And everybody's so happy to talk about the format and give you advice. And every time I go to these events, like all the time, the Premodern players want to just like talk about the format and answer all my questions. Loving it.
And the gold board cards are almost always legal, even in like kind of no proxy tournaments. Although lots allow proxies as well, I think.
By the way, you should actually add that to Impact Returns because you didn't mention that at all. They have a 10 proxy policy, right, for the main event. That's cool.
Yeah, so even in Legacy, you could play 10 proxies and stuff, which is really nice because a lot of people just are missing these 6 dual lands and like a couple of Force of Wills maybe or something. So it allows people to just get most of a deck like Delver and then just proxy the duels. So I played against a couple of duels proxies, which was cool. I was like, yeah, great, encourage it.
People also have like really nice proxies, right? Not just like some black and white random printout, but really nice proxies.
Although I saw a Delver guy that had proxy Psychic Frogs, but all real jewels, which is quite funny. But hey,
okay, that's something nice. Okay, so guys, I think we're not going to spend too much time on actually the results on the main event because everybody knows like 1 month from now, Grief is going to get banned, everything's going to be different. But glory where glory is due. We got Pablo Carrasco in first place playing Blue Black Scam, overcoming Pedro Doris on, well, look at that, another Blue Black Scam. I kept saying like Legacy is a simple format, 220 players go in and the finals is a Blue Black Scam mirror.
At least it was just the 2 Blue Black Scam in the top 8, but it's funny that they both get to the final.
Yeah.
Pedro was playing Baleful Strict, which is cool.
Oh, we saw that a couple of times, right?
I don't know how many, but I just saw him casting them.
We're going to get to that in a moment, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, just very quick shout out, Pedro also top 8'd the Modern, so very good weekend for him.
Holy shit, dude. What are even more players, right? Like 230, 40, 50, I don't know. They played 9 rounds altogether.
Yeah, so it'd be over 220 something was the cutoff. Yeah. 230 I'm not sure.
We got third place, Guillaume Salvador, also known, I believe, as Really Bizarre, playing Grixis Delver. He also has like many top 8s and like eternal events across Europe.
He's just like plays Delver every time and is just such a machine with the deck.
Then fourth place, Pablo Montes playing Eldrazi. Fifth place, Cristobal Abril playing Grixis Delver. Sixth place, Andrea Mangucci playing Cradle Control. Dude, he loved the deck so much.
Yeah.
Like, he was talking about it all weekend long, like all the cool plays he could make, even with like, what's it called? Talon Gates of Modara?
Yeah.
Is it actually called Modara? I just randomly make up the last part every time I hear.
It's something that sounds like that at least.
Yeah, Talon Gates of Modara, yeah.
People still don't know what the card does exactly. So he played against Javier on stream. Javier was on Blue Black Scam. And Javier read Talon Gates, gave it back to him. They're playing. But what happened? I can't remember the exact interaction, but Andrea had 4 mana up, and it has this flavor text ability of pay 4 mana to put it into play from your hand. So I think he played a removal spell on a Summoning Sick White of the Reliquary, and then he got to pay 4 mana, put in the Talon Gates, and then phase it out in his response. And then won the game.
It's also kind of funny because the deck that Andrea played only plays 2 copies of Talon Gate, but we commentated on a match where I think he used it like 4 or 5 times because it also got put on the bottom of the library again with endurance a couple of times.
Yeah,
and that was actually kind of cool, right? Because he had an endurance in a matchup where the opponent's graveyard didn't matter at all, but he had some targets for his land searchers. So he would actually just put back the Talon Gates and keep using them. And that card, Callum, Kai, I remember when we talked about the set, you actually randomly mentioned it at the end as something that could actually be good. And of all the new cards that we've seen, this has been one of the most impressive cards, even though we're only seeing it in like quite a few decks.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that it really pushes like Reclaimers and the Void too. Like it is so hard. Like I played against Runkor on Sunday, and like I was on Delver and he was on Trail Control, and his Void of Reliquary literally read like can't touch it, basically, like almost like Shrug. Like I was sitting on like I had to like double lightning bolt it to get it down, but then like he was just fetch for Dried Arbor, sack it to the Void, and then get Talon Gates of Madara and phase out his own Void. So it's a pretty rough land. You can use it on both sides, I think, which makes it really cool and flexible.
Yeah. It's so hard to like constantly account for it on both sides of the board because it can be used aggressively or defensively, and any card that incentivizes misplaced by the opponent, like that's the kind of card I want to play. And Andrea was super happy to see that card. Cool. So 7th place, we got Miguel Arguez on Mystic Forge. And 8th place, running out the whole thing, is Joel Luzaretta on Blue-White Stiflenord. And he actually played, what's it called? Curie, Masterful Intelligence? Or something?
Yeah. This was the spice. So do you know what Curie does?
Dude, we saw it on screen while we were doing commentary, and I was trying to understand what it does. I think it's basically a Phyrexian Dreadnought enabler. I'm actually looking it up again. Should I read it out, or do you have it like in front of you?
I can say. I think I remember what it does. So it's 1 and a blue for a legendary artifact creature. So it's quite set to removal. Caracas, Swords, Bolt, Pyroblast.
1/3, yeah.
Artifact removal. But it has 2 abilities. If you're looking at it, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but whenever it deals damage to an opponent, you draw cards equal to its power. So usually 1 card, and then you can pay 1 and a blue to exile an artifact, non-token artifact, creature. And then it essentially becomes a copy of that, but it retains its other ability. So the combo is you play a Dreadnought, and in response to the sacrifice trigger, you pay 2 mana and exile the Dreadnought. So it's like a 3 mana play after you have Curie in play, but then it's a 12/12 trample that whenever it deals damage to your opponent, you draw that many cards, which is quite powerful. So Joel was one of 2 guys that played the same 75, and they were both 4-0 at some point in the tournament. So Joel obviously did well to top 8. This other guy, I remember his surname, Chico, but I can't remember his first name now.
Oh, yeah, Chico. We saw Chico. Mr. Chico.
So he was on stream against Andrea, and he beat Andrea. His 1 loss on stream as well. So he did the play. Turn 2 Curie, turn 3 make it, and then it's like after this combo, it's like a Dreadnought deck, but it has a lot of fair elements. It's obviously got the forces, he's got wastelands, swords, and everything. So if you draw 12 cards, you're going to like draw into some pretty good interactive things, and then you're probably killing them next turn as well with this 12/12. So yeah, really powerful interaction. I think it is weak to interaction, but if your opponent doesn't have the interaction for it, it's really good.
It's basically like high risk, high reward.
Yeah,
that's how I would put it.
And then the rest of the deck is like it plays Tamio, and as I said, like all these other fair cards, so it grinds pretty well. So yeah, pretty cool take on the deck. I hadn't seen Curie before until I was just watching these games with these 2 guys. I was like, holy shit, this is cool.
So right now, Curie is actually a steal. It costs like less than €1. So
bye.
Yeah.
Andrea
it's also not a Magic Online.
Andrea said after the match on camera, he went and brought 4 on card market straight away.
Always buy, never sell, something like that. MTG Finance,
buy high, never sell.
Finance. Yeah, buy high, never sell. That's the one. By the way, we got to hang out with them a lot, and Marco on the weekend. Amazing guys, always having a great time. But also the whole Impact Returns crew, right? I think there's like 20 or 30 volunteers running around with these Impact Return shots, and they're literally all volunteers, right? Right, Groomcore is the complete madman. He does like a lot of the social media work and organizing. He's like one of the main co-organizers of the event. And on the last night from Saturday to Sunday, I remember we went out and had dinner. And I think he ended up going to a party afterwards, like also at like 3 in the morning. And then he slept for 2 hours in his car. And the next morning, David, the other co-organizer, he just like came knocking on his car door. It's like, okay, hey, Inigo, 2 hours have passed. You have to get up. There's like 12 hours of work ahead of you. Actually, more than that. It's actually insane how much these people work. So that's also like a huge part why I love coming here. Everybody's so chill. Everybody loves these tournaments so much. You you weren't there, Callum, but on Thursday night, they took us out to the beach house of Adrian and his wife Sarah, which organized a huge barbecue for Callum, for Kai, Andrea, Javier was there, and
looked so
like
nice.
A lot of people. We were like 20 people or something, and we went down like close to the beach, and the atmosphere was just out of this world, and the hospitality almost sounds too formal, like the warmth people had there. That's just something you can surely get addicted to. Like sometimes it makes you question, like, why do you like sit here in Germany in the corporate machine when you can also just like hang out at the beach house? I don't know.
I'll definitely come a day early next year.
Yeah, the people in Spain, they can really teach you how to live life to the fullest, and I am reminded of that every time I go there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, guys, should we get to our? Well, I have 3 quick theses for I guess Eternal Magic that we can quickly go through because it made me think. And here's the very first one: Replenish will be banned in Premodern. What do you think about that?
No. Mengo was like
so?
super high on it. This is what Mengo was saying because he thinks the deck is amazing, which I mean, like he's playing it and I'm not, and I would get crushed by it, but I don't think so.
So he basically said the idea was that the deck has literally no bad matchups, and this was like the easiest tournament of his life because he played against Goblin 4 times altogether.
Yeah.
But like even watching it in the finals, holy shit, was that like effortless. Like in the first game when the opponent didn't have Graveyard Hate, Andrea had to dig so insanely deep because he keeps using attunement, right, to dig into into their deck. I think it went to like turn 11 until he finally found Replenish, and the opponent was doing nothing the entire time.
Well, the other thing is he gets to play 3 Sabo's Web main deck, and
it's just for fun, right? He said it's not even like in any way part of his game plan. It's just like 3 random cards he plays.
Yeah, it's not for fun though. It's really good. Like it's played a lot in the format.
But it's like he said he just like added it because might as well, but it's not like anything that's part of the core game plan. It's just like a good card that cycles, so might as well play it.
It cycles, it's use Ancient Tomb. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with his plan, but it's like it does give some free wins, which is good.
Yeah,
because it's really good against blue-white, standstill, goblins, anything with Rishton Port and Mishra's Factories. Like it's just so good. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't know that much about Premodern, but it doesn't seem too good to me. Like his opponent missed lethal a couple of times in the other games. Basically, what he missed is he had a bunch of creatures. Andrea was on like 4, and he had like 3 or 4 2/2s essentially. But he has this 4/5 Exalted Angel that gains life whenever it deals damage. But remember, that's
going. I know where this is going.
That is not lifelink. It's a trigger. So if you just attack into it and deal lethal damage, you won't gain the life.
So you think it's not going to get banned? Because I told him I have like 8 copies of it, and I want him to like win a lot more tournaments, so Replenish can actually go up in value. He told me, dude, you should actually sell those because this is getting banned.
Yeah, I was like, you don't want it banned? Yeah. I don't think so. But what do I know?
Okay, we'll see. So the other one, that's actually quite interesting to me because I also noticed that while doing coverage. I put it as Orcish Bowmaster's banned itself. Basically what I'm saying is I don't think we saw any Bowmasters in the main deck of neither the blue-black scam decks nor the Grixis Delver decks that were in the top 8 or even like on coverage a lot of times. And even in the sideboards, they either were not there or sometimes just like a 3-off. So can we quickly talk about what happened to Bowmasters? Because I remember like a month ago, everybody still was calling for its ban and never felt like the right ban compared to Grief, because Grief is like what actually destroys the game, whereas Bowmasters is just like a good card. So
I think there's a few things. So one is it's just not that good in the mirror, and the mirror is everywhere. Like, yeah, Bowmasters kill other Bowmasters, but if your opponent's not playing Bowmasters, you don't need to kill their Bowmasters. Like, sure, it's okay against Ponder and it's good against Brainstorm, but I don't know, like you just have better cards to put in your deck now. Like Psychic Frog is so much better. You don't really have the slots for it, and if your opponent just goes on the reanimate Entomb plan, like game 1, it's whatever. And then do you want to sideboard it in? Maybe to go more fair, but then you're bringing in the Althys. It's just not that good in the mirror, is essentially the thing. And then Eldrazi is probably the second best deck. It's not good against Eldrazi because it just does 1 damage to things. And it's kind of like already pushed out a lot of the X1s, so maybe they can come back, but I don't know, it just doesn't line up well against the format. I think there is another format when some changes happen at the end of August that it comes back. It is a really, really powerful card, obviously. So I'm not giving in to the people being like, see, the card is fine. It's not unhealthy to have in the format because it's not played now. I think it is quite an impressive card against a lot of decks. But it was also kind of the good guy keeping Beans in check, but Beans has kind of disappeared as well. So I think this is just Scam having an insane effect on the format and the metagame. And so whatever happens to Scam, if the deck comes down a ton, then I think we see the return of Bowmasters and Beans. But it's very hard to say because Scam has a huge grip on the format.
Kyle,
Yeah,
what do you think?
absolutely. Yeah, I think like I was so happy to see Battle for Strix because of this orcish like Bowmaster soft ban sort of. Like we like on the top tables we saw like in the Scam mirrors we saw the Battle for Strix, and who knows, like if the circle does like the full cycle, then the Bowmasters might be back just to deal with the Strixes maybe, and like it can all like change. But for now, I was just really happy to see Battle for Strix. That's all.
Yeah,
I was
too.
just surprised that there was like actually talk about like not even playing Bowmasters in the sideboard of these decks anymore.
I
Which
don't
like
think they should,
if
because
it
this
was
is
like
nothing-
completely fall out, that would be crazy.
It's just like good against control, and control's nowhere to be seen because
That's true. That's true. Control is probably also horrible against Eldrazi, I would think, but who knows?
probably because they're so fast.
Yeah, Andrea, but basically, like, he talked about like the unofficial sideboard guide for how to build blue-black Scam, and he said like you basically want 10 cards for the mirror, and then 5 cards to cover all of your other matchups. And like part of the 10 card sideboard package for the mirror was like I think you want 5 extra removal spells, and I don't think you can really count Orcish Bowmaster as a removal spell because there's almost nothing
No.
that it kills.
It just kills
Like
other
Baleful Strix, I
Bowmasters and
guess.
Strix. That's it.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Like it looks so
people are-
stupid in the face of the troll or whatever.
Yeah, people have like Murderous Cat, Dismember, Fatal Push, that kind of stuff in the sideboard.
Dark Betrayal. Yeah.
What does Dark Betrayal do?
It's 1 black, instant, destroy target black creature.
Oh, people started playing that, right?
It was main deck in a few lists that did well. in
Holy
showcases.
shit, that's from Theros.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Minotaur dying to something.
Exactly, that's it.
You're just like me, ruthless, cunning, and ambitious. Obviously, you're a threat. Okay.
That's what
That's
to every
flavor text.
scam mirror you say that to your opponent.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our second thesis. And the last one is Eldrazi is ready to dominate the format as soon as something out of Blue-Black Rescaminator gets banned, or might already be the best deck in the format.
It's second after Scam, I think.
I think
And-
everybody agrees on that, yeah.
Yeah,
At least,
and
if not the best.
I don't think it's better than Scam. I'm pretty confident in that, but it is really good, really powerful. I don't. It's just so hard to see where the format's going to go. Like what changes, what happens. I could see some Beans deck being good against it as well. I can see it like currently it's just built to be very good against fair decks. Like they don't all have Chalice, lots do, but they don't all, or Vexing Baubles instead. But a lot of them are just built to be beating up other fair decks and stuff and be faster. So combo could be good against it as well. Just ignore their creatures and stuff. I don't know. I think it's also like very weak to Blood Moon. So if like something happens and the frog like dips in play rate, then Moonstompy will be very good against it probably. It's quite weak to, if you can turn off the mana from Wastegate Battle Mage, then it's weak to Ensnaring Bridge as well. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of ways to attack it, but it is very, very strong, and I think definitely second best deck at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We also saw a couple of like Consigned to Memory, which I didn't have on my radar like at all, but it's one of the newest counters, and they kind of cleanly deal with like 1-for-1 with the Eldrazi's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have like really good traits there.
Consign is like, it is very good against them, but it's a little hit and miss, as in like you need to spend, I guess, 2 mana to counter a Cast Trigger and the thing, but it doesn't counter something through Cavernous Souls, so sometimes it misses the creature, but it's still pretty good.
You know which card actually impressed me the most over the weekend out of the Eldrazi deck? I guess you can already tell. It's Glaring Flashraker. Holy shit. Like, I didn't realize that the damage you do on additional copies of the Flashraker is not linear. It's actually exponential. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So once you get additional copies, like that, your opponent gets like burned out, I want to say, like in the shortest amount of times. The Flashraker is good enough that it's actually seeing play in the Mystic Forge decks. That's like
it's
a
insane,
serious win condition, yeah.
It's even better in that deck, I think, than Eldrazi. But I've died to Eldrazi turn 3 a couple of times online because they
me too.
Yeah, they play 2 Flashraker and then command.
Yeah, the command is also another card that I completely underestimated.
Same.
When you look at these cards, all of them feel like a little worse than the ones we saw during the, I guess, first Eldrazi invasion, Eldrazi winter. But overall, holy shit, this deck is like really consistent. The only thing that can be somewhat of a problem is sometimes the mana. I think the mana is kind of shaky. But
yeah, they play so many lands that it's hard to keep them off it.
Yeah. How do they actually get the green, the blue mana? I guess Lotus Petal.
Lotus Petal, Cavern, and the Cavern.
Oh, yeah.
There's another Cavern that doesn't counter.
Yeah, because
Secluded
Kevin can
courtyard.
actually pay for the kicker costs, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's the thing. Okay, now I can see why it works.
Yeah, so Lotus Battle
yeah.
Cavern and Secluded Courtyard, I think.
That's the one. That's the one
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, but
Oh gosh.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say, right? Once we leave the lame deck format, a lot of things are gonna change. So it's kind of hard to say whether Eldrazi will be the best deck. But I could at least see it. But who knows?
Yeah.
I could see
Like-
it. I could see it. It's up there.
Yeah. Kozilek's command also like it really holds the whole like late game together.
right? Yeah.
And I just got to know about this like yesterday, but like Martin Nielsen from Denmark, we keep talking like talking about Doomsday and like Thassa's Oracle decks and for ages, and he just mentioned that he lost to Kozilek's command because you can target a player.
Yeah.
So you can make your Thassa's Oracle player draw a card.
The worst thing is you can so if they play the Thassa's Oracle but with one card in the library, you just cast it with the 2 modes exile Thassa's Oracle and target player draws a card.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's a bit small.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of cool though.
It's so interactive, that card.
So, guys, what's actually coming up for all of us next? There's 4 seasons in Bologna is it September?
Yep, first weekend of September, I think. 6th
Also,
to the 8th.
That one's actually going to be interesting, right? Because that's probably going to be the first one without Grief in the
It's very
format.
exciting. It's a week after Grief,
Oh,
probably.
nice.
Or it's a week after the Legacy BNR, and there's the ELM there as well. So it's going to be ELM with a fresh new format. So it's going to be really exciting.
Right now, I don't plan on being there, but maybe I'll change my mind on short notice. We'll see.
I was looking at flights today. I can't go because I'm looking after my parents' dog, but I'm looking into options of
just bring
ask
him.
my brother to look after the dog and go. But
So if the 2 of you go, maybe I also go. Like, I even have this thing, right? There's this cheaper train ticket for people who work in tourism, and I finally got the yearly pass, so it might actually be super insanely cheap to go to Bologna this time. But who knows? We will see. Anyway, for everybody else watching, let us know what you think about Premodern. Let us know what you think about Legacy in the future. What's your take on Eldrazi? I guess at the very least, you can find us on @EternalMTG on Instagram as well as on X. Honestly, X sucks. I hate, but that's a different topic. Guys, what are you up to for the rest of the day? It's insanely hot still. I still have the entire week off. I'm actually going to see my nieces tomorrow and on the weekend and every other day almost. What are you up to?
I'm just catching up with work. I didn't do anything on Monday and Friday, so catching up.
Yeah.
And Kai's going to get into Burkan again, I guess.
No, like not now that we played a little bit of Commander Cube, I'm actually brewing on a new Commander deck.
Yeah, by the way, over the entire weekend, you really gave us the rundown, the whole primer of how to get into Burkan. So as much as we talked about it on the weekend, I kind of want to try for it now.
Hey, maybe next time.
You should do it, right? Should we be wearing our everyday Eternal Partner shirts or would they be cringe?
I mean, that's the best recipe to not get in, so...
You shouldn't say that. People will never gonna buy our shirts if you say that. Okay, so everybody, if you want to support the running of our show directly, you can find us on patreon.com/everydayjournal. And if you want to leave a review, you can do that on Spotify. Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And with that, I think we're going to call it a day. Thank you to everybody saying hello at the event. Once again, big thank you to David, Inigo, and all the other organizers of Impact Returns helping us get there and just making for an overall amazing time. Can't wait to be back. And also to all of our supporters on Patreon, especially our Eternal Witness tiers on Patreon. See, my brain still hasn't fully recovered from the week of it. So supporters: Franco Boli, Kane, Colin Garassi, Alex Crow, Tim Everett, Testacular, Sebastian Holager, Guillaume, Sean Dewey, Stephen Bush, Francis Cowper, Cassandra Davis, Dylan Shoemaker, Retro Scherer, Tom Zischka, Benedikt Gruber, and Severin Schwarzhuber, and our top tier Crystal Brand supporters: Scott Monroe, Evan Lazar, Tom Hepp, Harry Houdini MTG, Ian Seifeld, Joe Brennan, and Colonoscopy. Everybody have a great time, enjoy the rest of the summer, and we will be back for you next month. Bye bye.
See ya.
Ciao, everyone.